Yeah,
How you
can
going,
you hear
man?
me?
Yeah.
Doing fine, and you?
Uh, let me um, let me start up my
The stream.
yeah. Let me get that going. Just gonna make sure it's working all good, and then we can is it working all good?
Yeah, my voice is so weird in the stream.
How you going, man?
Huh?
How are you?
I'm fine, and you?
You good? I'm good. So, what was your name?
I'm Felipe.
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 Felipe. Okay, and so you're from Brazil.
Yeah.
Nice, man. Actually, let me move my camera here so we can actually see your match history properly.
Okay.
All right. So so everyone for everyone tuning in, Felipe here is actually if I change my I'll change my scene here and we can actually look at the. So this is yeah, this is your OPGG. So you're a Diamond One mid laner.
Yeah.
Nice. So we actually haven't. I haven't done. I mean, I've actually done a few high elo coaching sessions. I actually did one with a guy who was a Challenger EU player before, so I actually like doing these high elo ones because for the people tuning in, the stuff that I'm going to go over in this video, and for you, Felipe, the stuff I'm going to go over this video is going to be a lot more, I guess, very detailed, complicated stuff that probably isn't
More
that
advanced.
it's not going to be as important to someone who's like in gold or platinum. But this is the difference between the stuff I'm going to go over is the difference between a Diamond One player and someone who's like and a challenger or like a grandmaster. So let's keep my phone on me, just make sure everything's all good. All right.
Okay.
Cool. So yeah, looking at your OPGG, I see here that you are an Echo player. You also
Yeah.
play a bit of Azir. You got a bit of Zoe. You got a lot of different champions, to be honest. Which I mean says to me because you're a higher level of player, like you've been Diamond One, so I don't mind this too much. So one thing I was looking at here is looking at your Silas. You've got a very good win rate, and so today we're actually going to go over a few VODs. We're going to go over. I decided to go over two Silas games.
Okay.
Oh, I'm sorry. You're a little. I'm just gonna turn you down a little bit. I just got a message just to turn you down. 1 second. Okay. Um, yeah. So we're gonna go over two Silas games today, and we're gonna go over a Zoe game. I think one of these Zoe games down here, and then we might, if we have time, might be able to go over an Echo game at the end. Okay.
Okay.
So first of all, I have a few big concern. Like this. I'm super interested to hear your opinion on this.
Mm.
Actually, let me make sure I. Where's my camera?
You want me to make my microphone a bit far from my mouth?
Um, wait 1 second. I'm just gonna put on a. I might put my camera on. Sorry, guys. Just I'm getting a bit. I'm just getting used to this whole streaming thing on YouTube. Hopefully, it's all good now. All right. So I think his audio. I think the audio is a bit better now. I think it's all good. So first thing we're going to talk about, Felipe, is your runes. So I have a big problem with your runes. Pretty much on every single champion you play. Okay. So,
Okay.
first one we're going to talk about is we're going to talk about Silas. Now, I don't usually talk about runes too much because I don't think it's important for like lower elo players as much as higher elo players. But the difference between Diamond 1 and Challenger is all the small details, okay? Because you already have the good mechanics, you understand waves, you have pretty good side lane awareness, all these type of things. It's now about tying all these concepts together. Now, I really dislike this domination tree secondary on Silas. I think it's
Okay.
I think it's really bad. So I think you always have to go Time Warp Tonic secondary
Right.
because because Silas needs to play the lane. Like, he's a very aggressive, chaotic champion, and I really, I find that in your laning phases, you're just getting you're getting very little value out of Domination Tree Secondary. Yes, it scales better, but that's not Silas's problem. Silas's problem is actually surviving in those early portions of the lane and actually going for those crazy kills. The healing's not even that important anyway because you heal so much from your W regardless. I really think Time Warp Tonic is essential, and then you can even go boots, or you can go doesn't really biscuits or Time Warp Tonic, whatever. Or sorry, dematerializer. I just want you to really experiment with Time Warp Tonic secondary on Silas specifically.
Okay, right. I think I got used to using like these healing runes because I usually use them on Echo. So I guess I was more used to them,
Yeah.
and especially on like side lanes when I get, so like for example I get chunked and then I can just heal up. So
Okay.
more
Well.
because of that. Like I said, the scaling like in the later stages it is a bit better, and the time warp's more about the laning phase. But
Yeah.
I'll test it then.
Yeah.
I
Really.
I
What?
used like I usually used it against like more major against ranged champions
Mm-hmm.
because they would poke me a lot. So
Okay. Well, that's okay. I just think you will benefit a lot from that. And then even on Echo, I really hate I hate your secondary sorcery as well.
hmm
It's just not good. Like, I've spoken to a lot of Echo players, like really good Echo players, and they always say like Time Warp Tonic and either Dematerializer or Time Warp Tonic and um yeah, you do you. It's just so like the way Echo plays the lane. It's very similar to Silas. Like, you want to
yeah,
be going in a lot, and it's very heavy trading aggressive. And we'll get into your Echo and what my main problems is with your Echo as well. I feel like you don't play the lanes correct, and you don't play for tempo bases. Because again, with Echo, what you want to be doing most games, when I spoke to a lot of really good Echoes, they say play super aggressive in the early game, and then you base on a Darksteel and a Doran's Ring, and then you come back because you can outshove pretty much anyone in the early game, and then you come back with tempo, time warp tonic, and you just it's so hard to shut down. But you play the lane way too slow, and you take teleport, which I think is bad as well on Echo. I think you should always be going ignite. But we can get
okay,
into that as well. Azir, I want to quickly talk about your Azir runes as well. Like, your Azir runes don't make any sense. Like, I want to talk a little bit about this one here. Remember this game here where you played Azir into a Zed?
yeah,
Conqueror
I do.
doesn't make any sense because Conqueror,
Yeah,
you should always be going either
I
Lethal Tempo or Halo Blades or even Comet, because you're never gonna use Conqueror against this team composition. Like, when are you ever gonna be in a fight long enough to stand still and use a Conqueror? You're gonna get one shot.
yeah,
So, and that is really like, so the Conqueror doesn't make sense, and on top of that, you go the most greedy possible sorcery secondary with Transcendence and Gathering Storm. Again, this doesn't make any sense because that is not Azir's problem. Azir, it already scales so well. Like, you need to go more. Like, I just recommend going a lot. Like, your secondary tree should a lot of the time cover your weaknesses, whereas your first one should all in on your strength. And your second one, this doesn't do anything for you. Think about it. If it goes late, you're gonna win anyway. Gathering Storm is literally useless, and Transcendence as well. Like, so greedy. Like, you're gonna lose the game in the first 10, 15 minutes. That's where you're gonna lose the game, right? So
mhm.
yeah, this doesn't make sense either. So just, and even on Zoe, again, the way you play your lanes, like, it's very confusing to me. And we'll get into this one as well. It's like, you go Corrupting Pot, but you play the lane. You go Corrupting Pot and with Sorcery Secondary, and play the lane slow. If you're gonna play the lane slow, then you always go Doran's Ring, because then you just lose lane if you don't. Because then, Corrupting Pot just doesn't do anything and gets out sustained by Doran. So we'll talk about all this stuff, but I think this is a huge issue with you. And I think this will really, if you can change all these little things and play around with them, which we can get into details within our VODs, I think it will really, really change up your game. Okay?
Okay,
Cool. So what we're going to do, we're going to... Oh, and actually, for those of you who are watching, we're going to go over a few VODs here with Felipe. And then we're going to do a Q&A at the end. Because people wanted to do a Q&A. So this first VOD we're going to go over, this one where you played Silas versus Katarina. Do you remember this game?
Kind of.
Kind of?
Yes.
Okay, let me change
Let me see.
1 second. Can you see my
I remember the game.
Okay. Okay. So what we're gonna do? You see it all good?
Let me see. Yeah.
All right.
I can see.
Beautiful. So again, this was one of those things where you go your corrupting pot, but again you have Taste of Blood and Ravenous Hunter, which we can talk about, and I'll show why it's not as effective in this laning phase, but that's the first thing I'm looking at. So I'm not going to get into the details of the micro, because I think micro-wise, you're completely fine. You understand how to trade with Silas, etc., etc. I just think there's a few things in the early game we need to talk about, and but more importantly, as this lane plays out, post first base, there's a few crucial problems. So let me turn this down, this sound a little bit in the game. So one thing I want you to understand, Felipe, but I don't think you understand very well, is I don't think you understand jungle pathing or jungle timing very well. So I actually like here how you start Q to just, farm in the early game. Fast forward this a little bit, nothing too special goes on. And as a Katarina, I really like to keep the wave in the middle. You get the level 2 advantage here, which is completely fine.
Wait a second. I guess there's a bit of delay in the live, and
Okay,
because you just lowered the sound, and this was I guess 15 seconds ago.
Okay. I'll make sure to wait for you. Oh, I gotta move the camera. Actually, sorry guys, I'm gonna move the camera a little bit.
You think if you broadcasted or live, if you put the live on the Discord, I could actually follow it without the delay?
I can't. You mean share my screen through Discord as well?
Yeah.
I can do that. Let me see if I can do that and see if it affects the quality of my stream. Share screen. Does this? Can you guys tell me in chat if this affects the? Let me go back a little bit. Can you see? This is much better, right? This is in live, real time.
This is better.
But is this affecting guys in chat? Does this affect you guys the quality of the stream or not? Is it all good? Maybe my computer's just so good. Just want to Can you check chat, Felipe? What are they saying?
Let me see. It's all good. It's all good.
Oh, cool. All right, sweet. So we can do a bit of both. We can do this as well then. All right, nice. All right, so now you can see it live. It's even easier. Okay, brilliant. So yeah, you start Q, perfectly fine. Again, your laning phase is usually completely fine. Now, again, I like how you kind of get level 2 first. You keep it in the middle, beautiful. You're pushing. Now, this is where things get a little complicated. Now, you do this play. He goes on you, whatever. This is fine for you because you can just heal up with your W. Now, right now, I want you to have a think about, and I see this in a lot of your games. Are you familiar with how... So, junglers can't really gank you pre 2 minutes. Or a jungler like Rengar, who doesn't really have that good of a clear, can't really... gank you before 2 minutes 35. Between 2 minutes 35 and 2 minutes 40. They won't be level 3. And especially since Rengar can't gank at level 2, he can't really be here by like 2 minutes 40 at least. So if we look at the minimap right now, look, I'm not even knowing. If I pause this at 2 minutes 30 right now, and now put it on the vision, there's Rengar. So again, like I said, this is pretty standard stuff. 2 minutes 30, he's just finishing his third camp. And then by 2 minutes 40, he could potentially be looking into River. Now, when you're in any of these positions, you need to be extremely... I want you to always be conscious about, like, what are you trying to achieve here? And are you trying to just bully this guy? And if you want to keep it an isolated 1v1, like right now, you shouldn't even be scared at all. Right now, you should have just been walking all the way up here, getting a ward on the corner over here, keeping this an isolated one, but knowing that Rengar, if you go back a little bit here, knowing that Rengar is not going to be here yet. You shouldn't have been scared at all of Rengar to be here. There's no way he's going to gank this early. Very rarely anyway. Right now, I'd be like, okay, cool. I got a really good chunk off on this Katarina. I'm going to walk up here because it's 2 minutes 25. And most of my games, Felipe, I always try to ward around 2 minutes 30. Depending on the jungler. If it's a level 2 jungler like a Jarvan or a Shaco or a Rek'Sai maybe, even Rek'Sai level 2 is pretty bad. I will try and ward earlier or I'll respect. And most junglers at the moment in the meta are level 3 ganking junglers. And so around 2 minutes 30, that's when you want to be looking to put your ward out. And what I've found in your games is that your warding times are really awkward. So you're scared and you kind of just ward when you get the opportunity, not when you think the jungler could be there. And now you've waited too long, right? Now you're in an awkward spot. Now you're like, whoa, shit, it's pushing in. It's 2 minutes 40. I don't know where Rengar is. Now I'm scared. So now you haven't used that opportunity to get your ward out. So now now Rengar could just be sitting in his bush ready to, and as soon as you go ward next, you're just gonna face check him, and then it's gonna be really, really bad. So there he is. Look at this. He just came exactly like I said, and then you had to blow your flash. It's so simple. Like this is just mid fundamentals, and I see this in a lot of your games where you just like maybe you're not familiar with the timing or the jungle pathing, etc., and you just either can't. You're scared to play aggressive when you should have been able to play aggressive, or you just straight up, just die or blow a flash. But now,
I autopilot is a bit
or autopilot,
there.
yeah.
Yeah, or I autopilot and I just forget to like take into consideration the jungler.
And this is like honestly, Felipe, this is huge. If you're a player that's going from Diamond 1 to Challenger, like yes, this play wouldn't really matter in Platinum or D4. Like you blue flash, who cares? Like again, it doesn't matter. But I'm telling you, if you want to get to Challenger, like these things, conserving your flash, understanding jungle pathing, this is all what really, really matters. Now, as a player at your level as well, you should always be looking at jungle. You should be looking to count CS. So he came in the lane. You saw he only had red buff. He has 12 CS, so you pretty much know he's done 3 cam topside. So you should know now that he's going to be on bot side, going to be looking to either do like maybe take these or take at least his Krogs or get his blue buff and look to he's going to be looking to be on this Rift Scuttle. So you know Rengar 100% is going to be on the bot side of the map for a long period of time now. So this is important for 2 reasons. This is important because you know that you could potentially look for a dive top if knowing that Rengar cannot be there. Or you know that you can hard lean onto top side knowing that Rengar can only gank you from bot. Or what you can even do, if you wanted to see if Rengar was going to be invading your Elisa's chickens here, you could even just chuck a ward here. To really be able to push your limits safely in the lane. Okay?
Okay.
So right now you're leaning onto top side like this. But even now, like, I don't like how scared you're playing. There's no way. Rengar just ganked. There's no way he's going to be sitting here looking to gank you again. Like, think about it. How is he going to gank you again when he knows he has to get his camps? He's just blown your flash. There's no way he can gap close you anyway. Even if you use your E, like here, even if you just walk up and QW, take heavy trade to this guy, you can just walk away and lean onto top side. He doesn't know where Elise is. He hasn't showed on the map yet. So here as well, there's all these little things that you're just really not pushing your limits and not understanding how jungle interacts. It's just kind of hurting you a little bit. But this is fine. You get the wave in eventually. Beautiful. Now, right now, I would actually just base. Your okay. Silas, it's super valuable for you to go and get a Dark Seal. He's going to have to react to all these minions. Yes, you're not basing on a cannon wave, but there's not really much you can do now anyway. You've used both 2 corrupting pots already. It'd be so valuable for you to go back. You're going to be able to get back in lane with full corrupting pot stacks, a Dark Seal, and a Pink Ward, and you're not going to miss any CS. I don't see, because warding here doesn't do anything anyway, even and you didn't ward here, but it doesn't, like, notice how you can't really do anything anyway. And now you're just extending the laning phase for no reason. Which is when like, yeah, you just would have got a free reset there, in my opinion, if you instantly based. But anyway, and again, this ties into the identity of Silas. This ties into you being Silas. You know that Dark Seal is extremely valuable for you, because that's going to give you early strength and allow you to play those, those make the game chaotic. But anyway, you're in this position here. He has no pots. You know, Rengar again is going to be bot side somewhere on your Raptors or Wolves or whatever. Elise comes here. And you look to... But again, this is not gankable in my opinion at all. Like, it's just a waste of time, but...
Yeah.
That... So,
I guess it was more of a transition gank, wasn't it? Like, she wanted to go bot side, so just...
And now when you see Katarina do this, this should be sending signals to... Like, if I'm you, as a mid laner, who's done appropriate tracking, you know Rengar is somewhere on bot side here. So I actually think this is bad from Elise, and especially when you see Katarina... Do this in a second. Look at this. When Katarina just does this, I'd be like, holy shit. Okay, this guy's in trouble. I'd be pinging this guy. Like, danger, danger, danger. Why is he walking like this into my jungler? So you should read the situation, adapt. You should be looking to straight away help him out. And again, look at this. This play happens. You kind of waste your ignite on him. But I think you end up killing them on a back end here. Now, look. You know what's super interesting here? If you had flash, this is a double kill.
Yeah.
How fun is that? This is literally the story, the beauty of League of Legends, Felipe. You make one mistake in the early game, and it actually affects the rest of your game. This could have been a double kill. Right? It's all the small things. This is what Dopa talks about. It's all the small things. Now instead of being a double kill, you only get one kill. You know, it is what it is. So now. This is your first biggest mistake. You ready? Ready, Felipe? This is what loses you games. Base, 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 base. Don't waste time. Like, okay, this is so big, and this is a mistake I see in a lot of like players around Diamond who like the biggest difference. They don't value tempo. Now, tempo is so important in high elo. Now, yes. This guy, like, overstays, whatever. You maybe deny him, like, a bunch of CS here, whatever. Now, look what happens. Like, you don't get an advantage off this anyway. Like, you have so much gold. You would have been able to base, come back on the map. The wave's going to be pushing out to you. Then you could potentially even set up a freeze on your side. Because it would have bounced and slow pushed back to you. You would have been able to get a pink out... as well, or lent to one side and actually even set up a kill on this Katarina, like, because he would be stuck in this weird position and you have an Elise. But instead, you stay. And if this Katarina's really good, he just bases here. He takes the loss of CS, which is completely fine. And he comes back with tempo on you. And Katarina can just push and move. Yes, this would be okay to do what you're doing now if you're versing a champion like Orianna, Victor, Azir, Vel'Koz.
Because they need the XP and the gold. So
they need the XP and the gold, and they can't do shit with their tempo, right? They can't roam.
Right.
Whereas Katarina is a champion that really, really wants to get out of lane and just roam and do shit. It's exactly. This is why when you verse assassins as well, your job isn't to be stronger than them. Your job is to keep them in lane as long as possible to outscale them or to like. Make it so they can't snowball. And so, if this is like a Zed, a Fizz, a Talia, Kiana, Katarina, any of these champions that just want to like push and move or just create, like get out of the laning phase, which what Katarina does this game and actually wins the game for his team, is because he wants he will sacrifice CS for tempo. Well, that's what good players will do. Now, now you've given him the space potentially. Or he should have just base, come back off tempo, been able to roam or do something with his pressure. But anyway, he just ints, you get a kill. And again, this is not relying, like, you know what I mean? Like, this is just him playing poorly. That's not you doing something well, in my opinion.
I know.
And then again, what do we see now? He's up now. He just got out of base. So he has Katarina has insane tempo on you right now. So, you kind of get your wave screwed. If I was you right now, I would actually leave this. I would just base. Because think about it, this next wave is a cannon wave. And your tempo is already completely screwed. Like, you need to come back to lane. If you get locked in this lane any longer, Like, it's going to be so bad for you. And think about it. Like, the wave's going to probably hit one or two of these creeps, and then it'll hit this one. That'll take like 3 or 4 tower shots. You'll probably come back to maybe a few of these range creeps. That's about it. Or maybe you just missed them. Who cares? Like, again, tempo is so important here. And now look what happens as a result. Because you don't value...
Yeah, I get stuck in here.
Yeah, you get stuck in this lane. Katarina comes back with a cutlass. And then look what happens. Felipe? A fight breaks
I'm
out.
behind it. Yeah.
And, oh, well, Katarina gets a kill. GG. You just lost you just lost the team. You just lost the game for your team. In my opinion. You've given a shutdown and a kill to this Katarina. And the only reason Rengar could do this is because he knows his Katarina has tempo. And he's coming back on the map. You know? Like,
Well.
it's so big. So, just by you not valuing tempo, you've just, in my opinion, like, you just made the game so hard. Now, this Katarina is so far ahead of you. Yeah, you have 2 kills, but you've given him a shutdown. You already struggle in this lane. And what has this done for Katarina? It's got him out of the hardest portion of the game with 2 kills. And, you know, he actually should actually be one kill and 2 deaths right now. Because you would have had flash from before and killed him as well. And he wouldn't have been able to get this shutdown. He would actually be so far behind. You'd be really, really far ahead right now. And then, because of this, you're in a really rough spot. Because, you know, he's in a power position. You get some warding out. And, yeah, the game's in a really, really tough spot. So what happens anyway? I think you end up taking this fight with him. This was really well played. This was a really nice E. Beautiful. Nice. Shove, shove, shove. Nice. Now, you got to understand that you guys, actually, tempo-wise, it's not too bad. So you guys are coming out of base at a very similar time. You get a pink out. I like this pink being on bot side because it seems to me where this is going to be where most of the action is going to be this game. Bot side, so I like that. You get a pink here as well. Push, push, push. Or you, actually, keeping it here is beautiful. I actually like this because, again, you got plenty of room now to chase down this Katarina. You got plenty of vision out. So this is something else happens here in a second. So you shouldn't really be scared here, in my opinion.
Yeah, maybe I should have. Yeah, I could have baited her taking the dagger and then started trading.
I think you could be like sitting up here. Honestly, like think about it.
Yeah, I have flash, right? Yeah, because I guess I was just playing like this. Maybe because I didn't know where Rengar is, but I have vision. So
yeah, you have vision and you have flash as well. Like if you're standing up here, this guy can't dash Shumpo onto his dagger, and you just he should be super scared of you. But he's able to get to his dagger, use your E. And remember what, I don't know if you've watched my Silas video, but like your E is so important. Like your E is your only form of self-peel. So if you think about it here,
I
right?
remember you saying that.
So when you use your E like that, if you miss your E2, it's so hard. Like that's it. There's no way of getting out. So this is, I mean, this is you just, I mean, like this is not what I'm here to do. Like, you know that you can improve on this stuff. Like, I don't think this is your problem. Like, your trading's completely fine. But more importantly, look what happens here. So, again, if he roams like this, my go-to response, instead of following in this situation, knowing that you're low HP, you have no more corrupting pots, I would honestly, and how much I value tempo as a mid laner, I would just ping him off, shove this next mid wave, and recall. Because knowing, I'm pretty sure off this next mid wave you would be able to get Proto Belt anyway. And then what happens, you miss Katarina, you try to chase him, he gets back to mid lane first, and gets a shove. And what does that mean?
Now he has tempo.
Now he has tempo. And look what he does with his tempo. He gets his tempo base over you. You have to stay pushing. And again, I actually, knowing this situation, Felipe, knowing that he's basing right now, I actually would not get this next wave. Let's leave it. Just recall. Think about it. There's no reason, again, to get this wave. You've already got your Proto Belt. You've got enough gold for your Proto Belt anyway. It's a cannon wave. You want to minimize the amount of tempo this Katarina has. Against any assassin, this is exactly how you need to play. And then you stay, which means he has a ridiculous amount of tempo. And then what happens? He comes back, he pushes, and then look what happens. Boom, he gets a kill and dives top. And you're just sitting here mid. Oh shit, sorry guys, missing, ping, missing. And it's again your fault. Because you didn't recognize your ability to get tempo and punish him. So how crazy is this, Felipe? This all started. This all started from back here. This all started from you not recognizing here. When Katarina roamed, ping back, you assess the situation. You can see they can easily get out. You just ping them back, get the next wave, value tempo, come back with Protobelt, then Katarina can't do shit. So you're actually getting outplayed by this guy. Like, maybe this Katarina just really understands his identity so well. And most people in the chat who's watching here would be like, oh, don't worry guys, I'm up in CS, I'm up 30 CS, and you know, I'm strong. But like, and my teammates are so bad. Look, I even ping missing. Oh my god, my team's so shit. Look, I ping missing, but my team just don't respect. No, like, you gotta take responsibility. You should never put yourself in a position that the enemy should be able to get a roam in the first place. This is what I talk about, accountability and taking responsibility for your games. And even at a D1 level, like, I'm sure most people would play this game in review and wouldn't even know what they've done wrong. And this is why League of Legends is so in-depth. It's like, every action, there's a sacrifice. There's a trade-off. There's a positive and negative of every option. So, right, for you, Felipe, in your games, if you're looking in your own games, something I want you to help you improve is, I want you to always think about, well, if I get this wave, this next wave, what am I gaining and what am I losing? Am I sacrificing tempo? Maybe I'll lose XP if I don't get it? If I do get tempo, what will that allow me to do? Is tempo even that important in this game? These are the sorts of questions that you need to ask yourself, okay?
Okay.
And then, again, so after this, yeah, sorry, he gets this roam off, whatever, fast forwarding. Brilliant. You come back, you get a plate, whatever. And just notice how unimpactful, like, this is. I mean, you try to get a kill off here, but, you know. And using your Ignite like that, without, like... By the way, I hate Ignite on Sylas. I really do.
Yeah, I just used it because it was Katarina. I was against an assassin, so...
Again, like, but the reason I like TP is because I play the tempo game. That's how I got high elo every season, is from tempo. I don't do fancy shit and play for fancy solo kills. Yes, that is a way you can do that, and that is important. You obviously probably have better mechanics than me as well. But, like, if you play the tempo game and use teleport, like, if I see a laner, like this Katarina taking TP, and I've taken teleport in this lane, Katarina will not have a single opportunity to roam. I guarantee you. So, unless you know that you're going to get solo kills, like, maybe that's the case. Maybe you're just so good at Sylas and you're really able to push your limits and go for solo kills. Then, I mean, that's fine. It's another style. I just want to at least show you in these VODs that why tempo is so important and how much of a disadvantage you are at if you don't take teleport sometimes. And if you don't get solo kills and stuff like that. And then, anyway, you go back mid here. Now, look at this. This is the last mistake we'll talk about. So, you're like basically full HP here. And again, what's the sacrifice of going into river and getting this?
Tempo. Again.
Again, tempo. Look, he just gets the push off mid, and then what does he do? Oh, guys, sorry, I'm getting fruit. Wait, I'm missing. Guys, Katarina's missing. Don't fight. No. Boom, another kill. Bot lane, rift bot, GG. And like, don't worry, guys, I'm getting plates. And it doesn't matter. Now, your Katarina's killed top, he's killed bot lane, he's killed your jungler, your jungler's been fucked, your bot lane's been fucked, and your top lane has been fucked, all from Katarina. All because of you lack of tempo. Make sense?
It does make sense. Actually, I was looking at it like I have a team here in my city, and we like play championships and that stuff, scrims. And in a scrim, I realized that I scrolled my tempo just like in this game, like I guess 3 times or twice.
Yeah.
Just like similar to this game, so
This is it,
something
man.
I need to improve.
This is exactly what you need to be aware of. All right, let me
Okay.
go into another VOD. Let's check out the Twitch chat. How's the Twitch chat going? Another YouTube chat. Sorry. How do I? Wait 1 second. Let me go on the chat. How do I get onto this? How many? What's the chat saying? Tempo. Blah, blah, blah. Oh, a lot of people. 1 sec. Let me just get some water. All right. So,
Let me just close the door quickly.
oh, no problem. How you going, guys? Thanks for tuning in. So yeah, this next VOD, guys, we're gonna go over we'll go over another Silas one. Because I really like to kind of hone in on a specific champion and then kind of go from there to highlight problems. So yeah, for all of you, yeah, dude, someone in chat said I look so young without a beard. It's actually true. I do look young without a beard. I just recently grew a beard for the first time. I used to look like a little kid. Let me change the scene. All right. So, can you guys? Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. So this next one is a Vlad versus Silas. So we got Felipe here on the Silas. Now, this one I want to talk about more about actually your trading pattern and maybe something like I feel like you don't know how to beat Vlad very well. Am I? Because I've just done a
Yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe you're right.
yeah. So I want to go over this and I'll ask questions. I'm not sure what you do and don't understand. Again, there's a lot of tempo involved in this one, pressure, jungle information, etc. But I want to kind of highlight a few things that when I saw this game, I just thought you played the lane completely wrong. So I want to kind of highlight those ones. So I like how you actually went TP this one, which is better. Again, I still don't like the secondary domination, but you know, it is what it is. So the thing with, okay, in terms of level 1 starts, you have an option here. You either start Q to try and, you know, minimize level 1, CS with your Q, and, you know, let them push you in, etc. Just last hit with Q. If you go W level 1, then I
misclicked it actually. I think I just like it was I guess 1 minute into the game and like my brain just literally turned off. I don't know if I thought I was against like a melee, but I just evolved W.
Yeah.
Like I guess I don't know, but it
Well,
was more of a misclick.
if
I know
that's
I
the
should
case
have
though,
started Q.
if that's the case, you can just do W into E, and then your level 2 spike's actually not bad, but just a little thing there.
Okay.
So yeah, you kind of have to accept reality that there's really not much you can do. Although,
Yeah.
because remembering, guys, like levels 1 to 3 on Silas is like a mini game. You want to minimize as much damage and CS as much as you can. So when you do get to level 3, you're going to be as healthy as possible, so you can look to take some more aggressive trades. But it's okay to let this Vlad. Right now, you should be walking up to CS and take it. Auto attack is completely fine. Playing around his Q cooldown, not too bad. Fast forwarding this a little bit. There's really not much you can do levels 1 and 2 here. Especially since she's taken W. Kind of just got a CS on the tower. It's okay to use W on creeps here if you need to. Because level 2 as well, you can't really do much. Again, here, I would have just went E second and then just EW'd him for HP. But it is what it is.
Okay.
You just kind of got to wait. Okay, so you're nearly about to hit level 3. Now, this is where the lane gets interesting. So, look at this. As soon as he uses his Q, that's your window of trading right now. That's when you can be looking to trade. Now, he uses Q in a second. Now, there's no reason why you can't just walk up here knowing that he has to make a choice between last hitting this cannon creep and he has no Q, and it's not empowered, and you're full HP, full mana.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I missed an
You're using all
opportunity.
your abilities on the wave for no reason. So this is the biggest mistake people make when versing Vlad, is that they don't punish the windows where Vlad doesn't have Q. Vlad, like, once he uses his empowered Q, he's actually a piece of shit. Like, he really can't do anything. And especially in this long lane. And he really, Vlad is a champion. He doesn't want to be using his W in the early game, because it uses so much HP and the cooldown's extremely long, and that's his only form of self-peel. So, if you were to all-in him here after he uses Q on the minion, then he's going to either have to pull, or he's going to be, like, just taking a really, really bad trade. So right now, you just E him, E, you can just E, auto attack, E2, force his pull. If he doesn't, then you land that, get a W, chase him down the lane. And yes, Jarvan might be there, but your Fire's really nearby as well. So I would take that gamble.
Okay.
So you take the trade, uses Q, it's fine. But letting Vlad push you in like this is completely fine. Again, play around his empowered Q. Right now, I don't know why you're pushing. I wanted to ask you this. Like, what was your intention here? Like, I don't know what you're trying to do with your lane.
I don't really remember. Maybe I was trying to get back the CS that I lost
Right.
under third, but I don't remember. Maybe again just autopiloting.
Okay. I want to talk about this because this is also something I've seen you do in a lot of champions as well. So you have two options here. So you have to, this is what I call, when you're a high elo player, you always have to adapt to the situation. So as this wave crashed, it's going to bounce out, right? And you're Silas, you have teleport, you have to notice that you've already used 2 corrupting pots. Okay? And so you've basically, he's actually got 3 pots because he got an assist level 1. So you are at a significant disadvantage, sorry. So you have to make a choice straight away. Whenever you see, and this is the same thing, when you see Ignite versus Teleport, you need to come in, you have to have an idea of, like, how are you going to utilize this teleport? How are you going to bring him out an advantage in this lane? Now, this is why I would be happy to take these aggressive trades like this, knowing that, again, the longer this lane goes, the worse it is for you. Because think about it. He outsustains you. You have mana. He doesn't. He has Ignite. You have Teleport. You need to find a way to use it. Now, the wave is actually pushing out. So you have to make a choice. Am I going to slam my face onto this wave, getting all these minions in, trying to get it in to get a tempo reset so I don't even have to use my teleport. I can come back with a Dark Seal and exert some pressure.
Yeah, I guess maybe this was what I was thinking.
Yeah, or just let him push you in. Because right now, he's queuing the wave and stuff. But when you queue the wave like this, it says to me that you're going ham for the wave. But if this was the case, in my opinion, if you wanted to do this play, then you already had to know way in advance. You already had to know now. And the reason being is that you need to go get a ward out here so you can lean onto one side. You're versing a Jarvan. And you know Jarvan, most likely, he started red, which is pretty self-explanatory. He's going to do a bot to top path. It's 2 minutes, 3 minutes now. So he's 100% going to be looking in river very much in this moment. If I press the thing right now, where is he? Oh, he actually did oh no, sorry, he started blue. Sorry. So anyway, he can be active on the map. And I'm not even sure if we saw him earlier. I'm actually not too sure. But anyway, the important thing is unless you knew where Jarvan was right now, you already had to get vision out knowing that you had to do this. And my concern with your gameplay, Felipe, is that you get yourself into these sticky situations. And this is actually I'm going to reiterate this in your next VOD with Zoe. Is that you put yourself in these situations where you're confused and like right now it's like, well, what am I doing? The wave's in a bad spot. You don't want to have to use this TP and get no advantage. He's basically only used one single pot. And yeah, you basically have no intention with your wave. So then Jarvan shows bot, so now this is your quickly another opportunity to potentially heavy trade and get the wave in or something like that. But you're not really heavy trading because you're not willing to sacrifice your HP. You just have W and all your abilities like that. And then Jarvan shows bot again. And you're just kind of slowly getting whittled down and really not doing anything in this lane. Notice how see what I mean?
Yeah, I just accept that I can't do it.
Yeah, you just accept that you can't do anything. It's like right now, the way I view it, you're like in a boxing match or whatever, you're just getting hit, and you're not doing shit. Like, there's really nothing, you're not coming back with any counterplay. So this is the worst case scenario. You no mana, no corrupting pots, he's actually going to be able to push you in. You're going to have to use teleport for a really, like, an average base as well. And now look at that. And now the longer this lane goes, this is better for Vlad, right? Because he can get to his 1250 gold, get a needlessly large rod, which is not good for you. So the moral of the story of this video, this early portion of the laning phase is you got to have some sort of a plan and test it. Like if you go into the, and this is the problem, guys, like for those of you who are watching, I watch this all the time. Like people will complain about their team and stuff and all this stuff, but like in this situation, like it's all about all these small details in high elo. Like, what are you doing to bring him out an advantage? And it's like the missed opportunity cost as well. Like this Vlad, if you were to just start heavy trading onto this guy, trading he's at HP, just come back to lane when he's low HP, you're gonna have full resources. It's gonna be so hard. And I see this all the time with people who don't really understand the identity. And this is why understanding the identity of your champion and having a hypothesis about how you want to play out the lane is so important. Because now what's going to happen, Felipe, because you haven't tested anything, you're going to go into another game, the same thing's going to happen, and you're not really going to learn anything. See what I mean here? It's like this same thing's probably going to happen the next game. Like you would have just queued up and done the exact same thing the next game. So I'm hoping that after this coaching session, what I'm showing you right now kind of highlights the importance of really having some sort of a plan and not just autopiloting and not just waiting for something to happen. Nothing just happens randomly in League of Legends. Everything's a result. It's always a trade-off. There's a sacrifice. There's pros and cons of every decision. So anyway, fast forwarding this, in my opinion, you've already significantly like screwed your lane. Like, in my opinion, at the highest elo, like this is game-losing stuff already. Like right now, you have to expect that you have no pressure mid. You get outscaled mid. You've got 2 losing side lanes. You haven't got pressure to see the jungler. You haven't exerted pressure to 2v2 with your enemy, your jungler and you to bring about mid-jungle 2v2s, which you're way better at than Vlad. You haven't roamed onto side lanes. You haven't got a great base. You haven't conserved your teleport. Now he has a combat spell over you where you've just used your teleport for nothing, and he has a combat spell over you. So right now, you're just contributing to the problem of having 3 losing lanes. You haven't done a single thing about it, even though you could have easily done so many things in the early laning phase right now. And this is like why solo queue is all about those small things. What are you doing to help bring about a victory in your game? And now Vlad has pressure on you. Vlad's actually getting to fights before you, which should never happen. And yeah, you're in this kind of awkward situation. So as we fast forward this a little bit, what do we see here? Was that your ward? Did you ward that? Yeah, you did. Okay. So at least you have a side to lean to right now. So if right now what I would be doing is I would be, holding the wave here. Beautiful. And then looking for all-in trades. Perfect. This is a perfect opportunity. Nice. He has no Q. Jump. Beautiful. And notice how good this trade was? And you could have done this at level 3.
Yeah.
How funny is that? You could have literally done this quality of a trade. Wait for Vladimir to Q. He has no Q. Oh, I'm Vladimir. I'm with the... What's the cooldown of his Q? He's 7-second cooldown. We have a huge window to do something. Oh, what is... There's no counterplay. So you just chase him down. And now he's in this awkward spot where he's going to be really low. You tether his Q. And then you go again. Rinse, repeat. Your cooldown's up in 3 seconds. There's no reason for you to Q the waves. Just auto attack. And then you can go again. Round 2. Like this. Beautiful. And now he's forced to use pool. He's going to be really low. Now, what do we know right now with this situation? He has no pool. He has no pots. He has no teleport. You can assume right now that he's probably going to recall. Most likely. Right? Mm-hmm. So if you go back here, we can probably assume that he's going to be looking to recall. Like, you're so much healthier than him, and especially when you go for this all-in, and he doesn't have pool like this, you don't give him the empowered Q. Like, there's no way he's going to stay in this situation. But if you want to test, if you want to know that, I would actually just walk up and make sure he's basing. And check if he's basing. If he's basing, then what does that mean for you? You want to get tempo, right? You either now want to do... There's one or two things. You got to be very, very quick to decision making. You either want to hard shove this wave try and at least recover some of the tempo that he's going to get, knowing that he's already basing, or again, hard put or maybe slow push into a roam, or hard push into a roam right now into a side lane. You need to come up with something. Like, what are you doing right now? And this is where side lane awareness comes in. This is where understanding the game state. What's the bot situation? What's the kill threat? What's the summoner situation? Where's my jungler doing? Does he need to base? Which side am I wanting to play towards? What's the next objective? All these sorts of things start to come into play. But again, what I see you do here, you start last hitting. You don't even know if Vlad's base. Then you eventually check. You check way too late. Use your mana on nothing. And now Vlad, you're trying to freeze or something. I don't know what you're doing. You kind of just... Now Vlad comes back with a needlessly large rod. Has tempo on you. You're going to have to base him. You have no teleport. You weren't able to get any vision out as well. You have no vision. And now you have no mana. Barely any mana as well. You see this? How this is like, again, you're putting yourself in these really awkward situations. We're not really creating any conditions for like a favorable situation. Then you get this nice little play on him. You eventually push him out. Use your ultimate. He ends up blowing flash there. That's crazy. He blows flash. But yeah, like, you can just see here, well, this didn't... Again, this is just this guy playing poorly. You're not really creating the conditions for success, are you, Felipe? This is just...
No.
Like...
It's more of him making mistakes.
Again, you're just capital... And this is what solo queue, and this is what... This alone will get you to D1. You just being better mechanically or seeing those opportunities and punishing someone who's bad. That will get you to D1, but that won't get you to Challenger. That won't no way get you to Challenger, the way you're playing right now. Okay. And so you kind of see what I'm talking about so far? You kind of understand what I'm talking about? It's like you don't...
Yeah, I do understand, yeah.
Alright. And now this Vlad's stalled out this laning phase completely. You haven't got a single deep ward out. You haven't got a single roam off. You haven't been able to... You blew his flash 1v1, which is not bad. But...
I'm down CS.
You're down CS versus Vlad. You're down XP versus Vlad. And you had teleport advantage on him as well. Which is pretty GG in my opinion. Like, I mean, it's not over, but like... You don't really...
It has a huge advantage already.
Yeah, huge advantage. Like, and as Silas, you don't really want to be... tempo and stuff like that. Super important. And again, I don't like... You're warding topside here. So, something here, another little tip. I don't know if you're familiar with this, but especially when I'm Silas, I know that I basically want to be going to, or like, playing to a side where I think the next fight's going to be breaking out. When I look at top and I see a 0-4 Fiora and a 3-1 Akali, yes, Rift Herald's up, I guess, but I just see a Nautilus bot. Like, what do you think? Like, I just don't think we're going to be winning fights topside. Like, what do you think, Felipe?
Yeah, and Vi is bot as well. So I don't remember. I don't really remember why I warded this side. I think, like, I'm not sure if I was tracking him, but maybe even because if you look at the map, there, his topside camps are up, and there's Herald up. Probably it was what I was thinking.
Okay.
But yeah, like, I think it's probably... It's more likely that a fight will break in bot. So.
If this ward was to spot out Rift Herald while your Vi's making it play bot side, then that's completely fine. But again, when my jungler's bot side potentially looking for a play, I like to hover onto the bot side anyway. That's just what I like to do, just in case something breaks out. Remember, that's what Silas wants to get to those fights.
Yeah, he wants chaos.
Yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I mean, and again, right now, you want to be... This is where you want to be looking to all in. Here we go. Let's see what you do. Got the wave in a good spot. He just used Q. There's no reason not to go on him. And this is what I'm talking about for all you guys in chat, guys. This is the biggest problem I see when people don't know how to verse Vlad. He uses Q in your face. You got the wave in a really good spot. Look at this. He uses empowered Q. You should know we'd be sitting up here. There's no way. This is... You don't need to tether this high, right? His Q range is probably like here. So in terms of tethering, you need to be over here in this line. And then also, more importantly, when he does use Q, you need to be ready to capitalize. Because when he does use Q, that's when you need to punish. And then the wave's in a good spot. He uses Q again, and you still don't look to punish him. Maybe you're scared of Jarvan or whatever. But I feel like you've got vision on this top side, surely, and your Vi's coming back on the map. Surely you should be starting to look to trade. But
I think I have this like more scared playstyle. I don't think this
Mm,
is really good, but I
mm,
yeah. I used to get ganked frequently. Like
mm,
I think the past couple, like when it was vacations, I spammed a lot of games, and
mm,
my biggest problem, I guess, that I started realizing was this gank that I used to get ganked a lot.
mm.
So I guess I started playing too safe sometimes. Maybe this is a problem as well.
I
Like
honestly think,
correct.
I think your ganking problem is a lack of understanding of, like, I think that's all to do with, okay, the way I see it in this situation, the way, this is what I see anyway. When I see the wave pushing in like this, you're in a desperate situation in the game right now. Think about it. Your bot lane's getting shit on. Your top lane's getting shit on. You've got a ward on top side. It's so unlikely that Jarvan's just randomly hovering this Vlad at this point in the game. Like, what's the chances that like Vlad is sitting here or here? Thresh is on bot side. He's on. I understand if Thresh was missing and stuff, but like, what are the chances that he's literally here? Let's just say, and he's got two winning sides that Jarvan probably wants to play through. And if I'm a jungler looking at this situation, I'm like, well, Vlad's winning. He's a Vlad. He's hard to kill, and I would like Jarvan. And Vlad doesn't have much kill threat. And Vlad doesn't have much gank setup anyway. Like, as a higher elo player, you need to also be assessing what do you think the jungler's thinking. Right now, I just don't think the chances of him being here are that high. Yes, this is what I like. I wouldn't really recommend doing this sort of thing for the average player, but again, it's a desperate situation. You got to do something. This guy's going to outscale you. He's trading aggressively. He's trading his Q in front of your face, even if with no flash. This guy has no flash as well. Even if Jarvan comes, right, and you have to blow flash, I would rather that and create some form of chaos and relieve pressure on my sides by Jarvan showing mid and allow my jungler to get information on him than playing super safe and playing like a bitch. Because again,
Yeah.
and this is a huge problem. No one actually talks about this, guys. And for those of you in Twitch chat, it's a really interesting. Oh, sorry, YouTube chat. It's a really interesting concept to think about. A lot of players I see, one thing they don't even think about, it's not in their realm of thought, is that when you play defensive as a mid laner, like we see here with Felipe, what that actually does is it's telling your team or it's telling the enemy that the jungler, yes, you won't die to a gank. Felipe won't die to a gank like this, but just because the jungler's not ganking you doesn't mean he's not going to be ganking sides. So as a mid laner, what Faker does, this is actually where it actually got created from Faker. Faker played just on the edge and tested it, pushed his limits so much that the junglers were so frustrated because the junglers were like, wait, is he killable? Do I need to go mid? So the junglers would hesitate. They would sit around mid, like, oh wait, is Faker going to go in? Is he not? And Faker knew, but with great warding, great leaning, great wave management, he would make the jungler come mid and waste time. Now, what's that going to do in solo queue, guys? If the jungler is wasting time hovering and trying to gank you or failing ganks on you, that's going to relieve an insane amount of pressure on your side lanes. It's going to free up your jungler to be more efficient with jungle camps. It's going to allow him to set up counter ganks. It's going to allow him to do a lot more. So you can kind of see where I'm coming from. And I feel like here, you're so far behind and you've played so defensively. You haven't really done anything proactive this game. Jarvan's just ignored you. Jarvan's just put all his attention on bot lane. Jarvan ganked bot twice in the early laning phase when Vlad was actually pushed up here at level 3. He was able to gank bot twice without you doing a single thing. And now both these ganked both side lanes and you haven't done a single thing and you haven't even made him want to come mid. So does that make sense as a concept?
It does, yeah. I was familiar with the concept, the relieving map pressure by dragging the jungler to the mid,
Hmm.
uh, by forcing him to gank me. But I think I just didn't thought about that in that game.
Yeah. So
I should have.
in my opinion, right now, like the game's like over. There's really not much you can do from this point on. But I still think more importantly, this was your main problems in your games. I find is not your mid game. Your mid and late game is like you're mechanically fine. You know how to team fight. You know how to skirmish. I find that your first 15 minutes between a lack of jungle tracking, between a lack of like having intention with your ways in the early game with a game plan, with a lack of tempo and exerting pressure and taking these trading windows, like you're really not optimizing your chances of winning, and you're actually making your games coin flip because you're not doing anything to create the conditions for success in the long term within the game. So what we're gonna go into another VOD to highlight this even more. This one was even more important, and it shows it even more so. This Zoe game here.
Okay, let me get some water. I'll be right back.
No problem. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Let me see some of these questions in the chat. What do we got here? Well, Felipe's getting some water. Yeah, this guy's from the Brazil server. This is D1. This guy's a D1 mid laner in Brazil. Thanks, man. I'm going to go through maybe 1 or 2 more VODs to really kind of grind out, to really get this point across. I think it's super important to review the first 15 minutes of a game. Like, first 15 minutes is where games are won or lost, in my opinion. Like, a lot of lower elo players ask me questions like, oh my god, my mid game's so bad, I don't know what to do in mid game. But the problem is, it's like, mid game will come with time if you really understand the identity of your champion. Whereas like, again, if people focus all their attention on the first 15 minutes, really understanding all these things, and again, it's way more important. What was the other question? I'm the Tony Ferguson of league coaching. That's sick, dude. That's the best compliment ever. Is Yasuo still OP? I think Yasuo is a champion where if you can put a lot of games into it, it's got insanely high skill cap. I think it could be pretty good. Should Vi not have ganked the pushed in Vlad no kill pressure? Well, I actually think it was so hard for Vi to gank Vlad because Felipe wasn't creating the conditions for a gank. He wasn't heavy trading. Felipe was not making Vlad low enough and trading and creating enough chaos to actually and base for pinks and dark seals and play tempo to actually do anything. It was really hard for Vi to do anything because Vlad was never in a position to get ganked because whenever Silas was in that opportunity, Silas had no mana. So it was really difficult. No, Silas' scaling isn't bad. It's just compared to Vlad, it's bad. I think mid lane is this. I think jungle's the strongest role for solo queue, but mid overall is pretty good. I started watching your videos. I went from D4 to D1 in 5 days. Holy shit, that's awesome, dude. So cool. Which mid laners do I recommend for gold? I'll answer these questions in a bit. Are you back, Felipe?
Yeah.
Okay, I want to go through another 2 more VODs or something, 1 or 2 more VODs, and then we'll go into some Q&A at the end. Alright, let me go on to this one here. Alright, so this game was a Zoe versus Ahri. I actually get a lot of people ask me, like, they struggle versus Ahri. This is, again, like a D1 game, whatever. And I think this was a super interesting game. And I think, again, this was a complete lack of game plan and lack of tempo that lost you this game. Now, it's extremely important. You know how I talk about identity? With Zoe, it's very important. You got to have 1 or 2 ways. There's basically only 2 ways of playing Zoe, in my opinion. You're playing lane very slow, calculated, taking your time, staying in lane for maybe 1100 or 1300 gold, taking your time. Now, each of these playstyles, let me actually draw it on my thing here. So, style 1. Let's actually call style 1 Chaos. So, style 1, this is my favorite type of Zoe. And I actually got a video playing this style of Zoe. This is where you go Time Warp Tonic, you go Inspiration Secondary. And I actually get this question all the time. Guys, like, people ask me, do you want, on Zoe, why don't you go Nimbus Cloak Transcendence or whatever, or Sorcery Secondary? This is why. So, the first style of Zoe is Chaos. Now, Chaos Zoe is all about heavy trading in the early game, utilizing your Ignite for potential all-ins at level 3, pushing and resetting for early tempo for a Dark Seal and Doran's Ring, whatever. Where you might go Time Warp, you even can go DMAT. DMAT can also be really good on Zoe because you struggle to kill cannons. So this is a very either heavy kill, like solo kill, early game, Zoe aggression, or even like push and move once you get past like the first few bases. Where you want to go Time Warp or Biscuits or Time Warp and I'm not really good at drawing, as you can see. But then you got the second one, which is the slow, passive Zoe. In this case, the early game is very much out of your control. You're very much minimizing. You're not really playing for early heavy trading. This is where you start Doran's Ring. This one up here, you start Corrupting. This one down here, you start Doran's Ring. Because Doran's Ring, guys, is better in extended laning phases because you get mana regen. And this is where you go Transcendence or Nimbus Cloak, Nimbus. This is where you do something like that. Now, a big problem I see with Zoe's is that they get confused. They do a bit of both. And I think, Felipe, you've actually done this here, where you've started Corrupting Pot, and you've played this lane really slow. And it didn't make sense to me because you actually get out-sustained because he went Doran's Ring and played it slow, and you didn't. So I think that's a big problem here. And I think you didn't really have an identity with the way you wanted to play the laning phase. Now, I want to talk about this a little bit. Okay, so Zoe is a champion where she's actually really bad at getting... If she gets pushed in, it's really difficult for her to get poke on the enemy. Because if the Ahri pushes you in, spams Q on the wave, you're going to be having to use your... It's going to be way harder for you to weave Qs onto this Ahri, knowing that she's going to have minion advantage on you and be able to, weave in and out of the minions and, push you onto tower, make it hard for you to hit her, and just basically have a lot of pressure on you. So the other option is you just Q the wave level 1 as well and try and outshove. But the problem with that is that you're missing a Rek'Sai who can actually... has pretty decent early ganks. So... because you have a Lee Sin, though, I kind of feel like you could have just contested the wave and really played for a chaotic level, maybe early mid-jungle 2v2 and actually gone for a very early ward. Maybe like a 1 minute 45 or a 2 minute ward or something like that to maybe play for a level, watch out for that level 2 gank. But it is what it is. So I just wanted to kind of put that out there. Because now Ahri's got the push on you like this. And then your jungle and your got invaded level 1. And they get screwed over. Not good. So you kind of just have to accept reality that you're going to get pushed in and you can't really push out, which, it is what it is. Getting that nice little Q there. Alright. So now you know most likely Rek'Sai, probably on these round here, maybe doing those Raptors. Now this is, you've actually landed a lot of nice little Qs here. I like how you're just leaning onto the bot side, getting some vision, some Qs out. And I love this. I love what you're doing here. Leaning onto the bot side, getting this out. What this says to me that you're getting the push, which is beautiful. This can allow you to walk up here, get a deep ward, or just even a ward here. This is going to give you a really solid side to lean on. Then you can start harassing this guy. Then you can start pushing him in, keeping it slightly on his side or in the middle, and start weaving in Qs to slowly chunk him down. Because I don't think your Lee Sin's ever going to be able to gank this guy knowing that he's so far behind tempo. Like, again, this is adapting. Yeah. So your jungler, and guys, for you guys to understand, and just in terms of tempo in a jungle, the tempo isn't just a laning thing, it's a jungle thing. So this guy, Rek'Sai's already done 2 camps. He's actually just doing his blue. So what does this mean for a jungler? It basically means that he's not really going to find time to be able to gank at all, because he's just going to have to scrambling for camps, getting to his levels, because he's so scared of getting counter-ganked by Rek'Sai, knowing that Rek'Sai is going to be so much stronger than him in terms of levels. So you have to adapt. When your jungler dies early game, doesn't matter from a first gank, or a level 2, level 3 gank, or level 1 like it happened in here, you have to adapt to the situation, and I would never expect ganks now. I would accept reality that this is just an isolated, or not even an isolated 1v1, it could be a 2v1 for them, knowing that Lee Sin's not going to be able to gank this lane. So, I like what you do here. This is a perfect opportunity, in my opinion, to ward bot side. After you get this creep. Let's see what you do. Beautiful. Nice, you get a nice little ward. Now this gives you a really good solid side to lean on. Now, I actually I don't mind the wave here. As long as you have a minion advantage. What I would be doing is either I would actually probably be walking up here, or around here, whatever, trying to weave on Qs on this guy, knowing that he's half HP, you're Zoe, you've got the minion advantage like here, you've got a side to lean on, it's all good. And also knowing, guys, that the only threat that this guy has on you is his E. And pre-6, this guy can't really do shit to you, because he can't get in a position to land his charm. So pre-6 Ari is actually really, really bad, and especially when he's getting pushed in. So you get level 3. And if you're a little bit scared, that's completely fine. But I wouldn't have queued there. I would let it come out just a little bit and keep it in this nice little pocket in the middle potentially. But what happens... I don't like that E. Very low chance of using it. And again, it's your only form of self-peel if Rek'Sai does come. Okay, so this is where the problem starts. You're playing so defensively right now. You've got vision on bot side. Just keep... Again, what happens now that you give Ari this space, he starts queuing the wave. And you give him way too much room.
Let me just explain what I was thinking there. Recently, I got against like 2 pro players from my region, and they were dual queuing like mid and jungle from Pain Gaming here at CBLOL. And like it was Kiana Elise against me playing Oriana, and like the guy just ganked me just where I was, like in there. And then I guess I got this habit at like around 2:45 to 3 minutes against like aggressive junglers. I would just like I would like, for example, in the Silas game when I pointed out that I could have based a level 4, I would just like base a level 3, like slow push, base a level 3, because it was like ranged against melee. So usually we slow push,
Yep.
and then we go to ward or just poke them on their turret, and I could just base. But if I didn't base, I would just do that, like stand behind between those 2 pillars in the mid lane, to be safe. But I don't know if this turned out to be a good habit. Like for example, in this situation, maybe I could have played a bit more
So
aggressively.
I think this, at the end of the day, I think this comes largely down to threat assessment. So this is... I actually didn't realize this, but in hindsight, I mean, watching your games, it actually makes a lot more sense watching a lot of your games. You've actually got a very defensive mindset. It happened in the Silas versus Vlad game. And it's happening here again here. Again, maybe you've just gotten scarred from that experience. Again, I just think that that's a completely different situation, though. You can't take what happened from a game where you're playing Ori versus Kiana Release to Zoe versus a pre-6 Ari who has a one single skill shot which can be blocked by minions, given that you have vision here on the side. Like, it's just a completely different situation. But I kind of see where you're coming from. Maybe that's a habit that you need to break and just test your limits. Like, it's okay to die, but as long as you're dying... But, okay, let's just say, for example here, Felipe, let's just say you do push your limits. And let's just say you do get ganked. And maybe that ward wasn't enough, and maybe he did some creative path. But in the game, you actively or consciously thought, I've got the vision, I'm leaning, I'm doing all the right things, and you thought that this was the correct play. That's fine if you die, because then you learn something new. You know? Then you push your limits. You actually get to improve as a player. If you do what you do here, you've done all the right things, but then you're just scared for no reason, just respecting the player, not the champion, then, like, you're not going to learn. This is actually increasing your chances of actually becoming a worse player. This is how people, like, you know, when you watch pro players on LCS and LEC, when they maybe they have no confidence, they play super scared and super reactive. This is what happens. They have a bad experience on stage, and then the next time they play that champion, they play super defensive, and they just lose anyway. That's basically what I think what you're trying to tell me. So yeah, it takes time. So right now, look what you're doing. You're playing all the way back here. He's already used Q on the wave. You've got vision out. There's no reason for you to sit all the way back here. And now he's just shoving you in for free. You're playing so defensive. So I was just kind of confused watching this. I'm like, what? Why? There's no reason for you to do this, in my opinion. But
yeah, I agree.
Very,
I
very,
could
very
have
defensive.
killed before as well to like
Yeah,
thin a bit before I get to my turret.
exactly. So that was a huge missed opportunity. So now, like, what's your game plan here? I don't know what Ari's doing. But now that it's pushing out, if I were you, I'd be hard pushing this and looking to reset for like a Dark Seal or a Dark Seal Dorans or whatever. Because again, it's pushing out. Your visions actually ran out. You're gonna have to either reward or I don't know what you're gonna. It's gonna be a pretty rough situation. Um, like again, this comes down to game plan. You should always be thinking like, what am I gonna do after this wave crashes? Do you want to play this lane out completely safe to 6, which I think is not good because if Ari gets a free lane to 6, then I think it's like, I don't know, like you haven't punished him at all and it's just not good because you're a lot stronger pre-6. I just feel like you just autopiloting or just, I don't know what you're doing. You're just kind of
Yeah,
playing for,
probably.
you know,
I
or,
was autopilot
so you don't really have a
before you.
plan.
Yeah, before you just tell me that I didn't really think before. I guess the thing about like what I want to do, what do I want to do with the wave, like in game. Usually, like when it's loading screen, I
Mm,
think about that. Like what do I want to do in the first 3 levels, for example? Do I want to
mm,
push? Do I want to
yeah.
play more defensively? But in game, I need to get this habit of like adapting to like, okay, so my wave is like this right now. What do I want to do to the wave?
Hmm.
What do I want to do with it?
Are you going to push and reset, whatever? And this is what hacks, and because you play like this, you're playing this very slow style. He actually has Doran's ring, so he actually got handed a blue buff as well. But it doesn't help that you have corrupting pots, which don't do anything in this extended laning phase. Like you're gonna get out sustained anyway. So you don't play for tempo bases. You kind of just get pushed in. Yeah, there's not really much here. It doesn't show that. Yeah, but he actually has a blue buff. So anyway, the lane just continues to stall out. And yeah, really not much you can do. Because you didn't take that opportunity to reset or whatever. You got no mana here. And then what happens? You're pinging assist me. Why is that?
I don't remember. I guess I wanted
To kill him or something? You
Leech.
can't kill him.
Yeah, Leech. Yeah.
Think about it.
Actually I don't know. I don't know if I thought about it
Yeah.
before I do it.
So right
before
now,
doing it.
like if I'm you, like I would accept reality that I screwed up this early lane or whatever. I would just take a base on one of these cannon waves and just come back with like tier 2 boots, like Sork boots or something, or like even Mercs or whatever. Probably Sorks actually, because you need the MR since you've got a Zoe and a Vlad on the same team. And just play for tempo, come back, and then do something, get some sort of control, do something. Because the longer this lane goes, the worse it is for you. He has more sustain than you. He has more a Doran's ring over you as well. Now that he's 6, and again, he has more mobility. They win 2v2 skirmishes. And I see this all the time, guys. For you, those who are on YouTube, this actually really makes me frustrated. Put yourself in Lee Sin's shoes right now. You're Lee Sin. You pan your camera over to mid. You see this. This is what you see. You pan your camera for like a second and a half. You see a level 6 Ari with a health pot ticking with pretty much full HP, full mana. You see your mid laner getting pushed in with not much mana, no more pots left, and level 5. That's what the Lee Sin sees right now. And we have no idea where Rek'Sai is. No pinks in the river. Like, look how hard. And then you ping, help me. This Lee Sin comes mid. What is he gonna do? This right now, by you pinging assist me here, help me. This is actually losing you the game because Rek'Sai can just counter gank this, or he's just gonna show on the map. He's just gonna walk away, and then Rek'Sai just gets free information and can gank another lane. And he was actually heading bot. And he could have helped bot right now. But you ping missing, and then he just shows mid, does nothing. Nearly
Just
gets counter ganks, wasted his time. And look at this. He gets chased out and shows on the map for no reason. Showing on the map as a jungler is so bad. So again, because you're not kind of accepting reality of your situation, and mid laners do this all the time. Like, oh my god, my jungler's so bad. They're not helping. They're not ganking my lane. Look at mid. He's so overextended. Dude, there's no kill threat. Like, there's no kill threat. So you kind of have to accept reality. And now what happens, because you've played like this, you haven't played for tempo. Ari's full HP, full mana. And now gets to roam, gets a free roam off, and gets a kill for his team. or they were probably going to get the kill anyway, but you see what I mean though. So I feel like if you
Yeah.
had already played for tempo beforehand, like shoved out on that cannon wave something, you would be able to get vision control, you would have a resource advantage, you'd be able to kind of force him to base earlier than he wanted to as well, and then this game would be a whole completely different story in my opinion. And this is what it feels like people don't have when they play Zoe. You got to have a and Zoe is one of those champions. You got to have a clear identity. Are you playing super fast or are you playing super slow? If you're playing super slow, then again, focus on your CS. Take a Doran's ring, play for your 1300 gold, and accept reality that the enemy mid laner might get a roam off. But that's the what you're gonna have to live with, in my opinion. And then so now the game's like so hard for you, in my opinion. Now Ari's got this roam off. You haven't punished him pre-6. And yeah, you're in a pretty rough spot. But you kind of come back here. Rek'Sai is destroying the team, and then, yeah. So this game was kind of hard for you. Like, it was kind of out of your control since you had a lot of losing lanes. But I did want to highlight, the thing I wanted to take away from this game was, you know, even in a game that is really hard, you can still do things better. Like, you can still have a way better game plan. Because I feel like you would exit this game and you wouldn't really know what to take from it, in my opinion. Like, you would kind of go into the next game, queue up next, and be like, oh, yeah, jungle difference or whatever. You know? It's like, well, yeah, that might be the case. You may have still lost this game in a perfect world. But, again, when we're league players, all of us league players, we're playing hundreds of games a season. I'm not okay, personally, with wasting 20 minutes of my life. You know? Like, I don't know about you guys, but if I waste 20 minutes of my life in an FF of 20, like, I don't want to do that. I want to at least if I'm going to waste 20 minutes of my life in a game, I want to at least get something from it. So this is that learning mindset. This is what I talk about, taking responsibility. There's always something you can learn, in my opinion. I think it for this game was very much a lack of identity in the early game and a lack of game plan. You're just playing super reactive. Kind of led to this. And as well, like, you're not really valuing, like, I don't know what you're doing as well. Like, if you wanted to isolate this lane and set up ganks on this Ahri, I would really value getting a pink here. I would actually just not get boots or something. I think you really need a pink ward as well.
Yeah, I agree. I should have bought a pink card. Especially against Rek'Sai Ahri, and Ahri is already 6. So.
Exactly, and you need to do something. You need to do something here. And then, again, she has tempo on you, and it's just so hard. So this is where you'd need to start playing aggressive. So if I were you, if I were to go back, if we were to go back, summarize this video, VOD, in my opinion. When you had him in a really good spot here. And this is so interesting, guys. This is how, like, one mistake can translate into a whole host of problems. You had him at about half HP here. You had him in a decent spot. You've got your vision out. If you had kept poking him with Qs, and actually made this a little bit more chaotic, it would have been harder for him to get to 6 for free. He would have probably had to base pre-6, maybe for a Dark Seal as well, which would benefit you as well, since he started Doran's and you started Corrupting Pot. Then, because he's heavy trading as well, if he didn't base, you might actually even be out, and as the wave comes out, you may be able to ignite him, chase him down the lane, and even set up a kill. This game is completely different, but because we play defensive like this, we don't use Qs on him, we use Qs on the wave. You let him shove it out fully as well. We're playing super defensive, even though we have vision. And we know he gets a free reset, gets all this farm. This is the weakest point in the game for Ahri. This is Zoe's probably strongest point, is his level 3, super strong. Now, even off the bounce wave, when you had the opportunity to play for a tempo reset, I would even ping Lee Sin to either help me shove it out or even just reset myself, knowing it's a cannon wave, go back for a Dark Seal, or even just trade my HP for this wave. Even if I just had to use all my mana, all my HP, even if Ahri come back here, just heavy trade onto this guy, lose half of my HP, come back to lane with it, again, a Dark Seal, pink ward, whatever, create chaos, create some form of advantage. That would give you tempo to get you some deep vision to allow you to isolate this lane, stop Ahri from roaming. And again, it's just a whole different story. You kind of see what I mean?
Yeah.
Beautiful. All right. So I think that was a little, I know that would have been a frustrating game to play, I understand. But I did want to highlight that one because I do think that it's a really interesting concept to talk about. Now, last one before we get into Q&A, and this one I'll try and, again, keep it a little bit shorter, because I know this is going on for a while. This one was an Echo game, and I know you're an Echo player, so I really wanted to get your opinion on this one. Um,
Your voice is kind of lagging
oh, sorry.
sometimes.
Maybe I think it's because I'm moving too far away from the microphone.
Yeah,
I
I
don't,
did it again.
about now, is it okay?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Um, so I know you're an Echo. Let me just change my scene here. I know you're an Echo player, so let's go through this one. So I actually wanted to talk to you about this because I don't know how much you know about Cassio as well. So the first thing I disagree with is that you go your absolute focus in gathering storm secondary. I really don't like this because, again, as Echo, you want to be creating chaos in the game. You want to be playing fast, and it doesn't make sense. And again, you're going to be heavy trading in the lane since you're a melee champion. And I spoke to the pro players. They always say you want to be playing chaotic in the early game, based on around 350 or 750 gold for a Dark Seal and Dorans. So Dark Seal Dorans. And then, play for tempo. I don't feel like it's necessary to go teleport because you need that kill threat in the 1v1 in my opinion. And it just, you already have so much mobility and so much wave clear. Since that's why like teleport's not as essential on Echo because he can pretty much always push and reset for tempo anyway because his wave clear is so good. That's why teleport's not really needed. It's just unnecessary. So, in my opinion, in a lot of these lanes, I actually just love queuing. If I were you, I would just queue. I would honestly just keep queuing this guy because Cassio level 1 is so bad. Even if the wave is over here at level 2 or whatever, or even if you play it slot, whatever, he can't do anything because his Q is really hard to hit, especially when you're level 2 as well because you can E it. And more importantly, even if he does hit a Q on you or whatever, he goes so quickly. Like, he can only probably use QE and then 3 E's, which gets you to, like, maybe 60%
Yeah, it's
AP.
like 50 mana each E,
Yeah,
something like
he
that.
can't do anything. So, anyway, as we play this out, I still think here you should be queuing the wave. You shouldn't even be scared of Cassio. Like, if you queue the wave, then he's going to be using Q on the minions, dealing with minions, auto-attacking minions. He can't focus on you as well. And especially since it's a Graves jungle who can't gank you early anyway. If it's a Jarvan release, it's a different story, or Rek'Sai's a different story. But even then, like, again, you can just lean, maybe do an earlier ward. You're going to be completely fine. And again, you should never be hitting by Qs. You should always be looking to E his Q. You can even just dash onto him. At level 2, you can literally just dash past the Q onto him with Q. So EQ him, auto attack, and run away. He can't really do anything. At level 2, he's a piece of shit. And look,
Yeah, I should have done that.
And
He's already half mana.
He's already half mana, and he's barely done any damage onto you. So you get some warding out. That's a pretty. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
The thing about the wave, because the reason I didn't really push that much early on, like I think I had tested this playstyle once. I don't remember in which matchup it was. Like just hard shove, like
Yeah.
the first levels, but I didn't really like it because I didn't think I could like trade because of where the wave would
Yeah.
end. Because for example, say I just throw like I don't know 3 kills, but I can't get the wave under his
Yeah.
turn.
Then it's like sitting here. You mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
I can't trade it against him. I can't trade with him
Okay.
because the wave is just so bad. So
Yeah.
I guess this is what happened, and then I didn't try it again
Okay. I think
anymore.
so. I think there's two things. So if you can, I've actually seen Echo's Q and push so hard level 1 that the wave actually crashes before the second wave comes.
Yeah, I've managed to do that once.
If you can do that, I think that's really good. But if you can't, if you're scared, then what you're doing now is completely fine. But I did wanted to kind of highlight level 2 how if the wave is here, you can just E past the Q and look for a EQ trade, which I think is very, very, very favorable. And you shouldn't really be scared of Cassio. This as well, when you're playing Echo, I feel like you should make the effort to ward a little bit deeper here. Especially as Echo, since you'd be able to like push and move so much. And it's something to think about here. You actually would have seen Graves, which would have been huge information for your team. But still, this is a decent ward because at 2 minutes 30, you know Graves can be level 3 around 2 minutes 40. Look, as he hits his camp, look at this. It's around 2 minutes 40. That's when he'll be potentially walking into a river. So again, this timer, this window between 2:30, 2 minutes 40, that's when junglers hit level 3 and can do things. But now, my problem with the way you play this lane from now on is look how slow we play this laning phase. I'm going to fast forward a little bit. I feel like you can just walk up, Q that should be queuing the whole wave, either getting it in completely, bouncing the wave, making Cassio vulnerable, or letting it push out and holding it in the middle so you can trade aggressively. Again, I don't really feel like you're doing either. Now you finally do it. You should have done it on the last Q, but again, I feel it just all just ties into having a clear game plan. So you're either doing one or the other. You're either trying to push in the wave completely, bounce the wave, making vulnerable to a Lee Sin gank, which is completely viable since Cassio's pretty immobile, or again, like you said, let him push and hold it in the middle. So now this is really, really good. The wave's pushing out. Nice. Now you don't have W because you use it on the red. It is what it is. I would honestly let Cassio push out a little bit, which you're doing here. Lee Sin's coming. This is a perfect gank opportunity. EQ. Okay, now...
I thought he would run. Yeah.
Flash in this matchup is massive. Once you blow Flash on this guy, it's so hard for Cassio to navigate this lane from now on because you just have way too much threat on him. There's no need, and this is what I talk about, like a concept called small wins. You don't need to go for crazy solo kills all the time and, you know, trading Flash for Flash here, like, you don't need to. If you've got the Flash like that, it's completely fine. Like, I mean, yes, you thought it was a kill, but I just want you to understand that sometimes getting a kill, just blowing Flash is completely fine. It's a massive, massive win for you, in my opinion. Okay. So right now, I'd actually tell Lee Sin, like, help me on the wave. You need to tell him to help you push this wave out because Cassio's going to teleport. And if Lee Sin helps you with this wave, then Cassio can't teleport on the wave as well. So then Cassio actually ends up teleporting on this minion here. You can't really see it, but he ends up TPing. And you try to get the movement speed, and then literally shows up. So I think this all would have been a lot easier if Lee Sin actually just helped you. But I think that's because, and you know why? Why as well? My mindset when I get the jungler to come is I want tempo. The faster I can get the wave in, the more chances that I actually won't have to use my teleport, and I can just come back and get a really good reset without having to use it. So that's my mindset as well. Why I want the jungler to come help me. So then he comes back and ends up killing him. And you teleport. Okay. This is fine, I guess. It is what it is. You get a kill. But then Cassio gets back mid. So you have no... You're completely screwed now. Like, you have no tempo. Like, you had to use your teleport. You have no corrupting pots. You're going to have to reset again. So what I would probably do... I would actually try and get... What I would actually probably try and do here is I would actually... let this wave crash in, maybe miss a bit of CS, on its way out, use everything, and then play for a tempo base at the sacrifice of CS, just to come back with full resources, in my opinion. Let's see what happens here. He uses his ult, so he has not much threat. Lee Sin's coming. Okay, right now, this is what I was thinking in the moment. So, while they're doing this... Why don't you just W here, W the wave, walk up and Q, and just push it in? He doesn't have enough mana to kill you, but between your ultimate and your W, he has no ultimate as well. It's so free. You see what I mean here?
Yeah, I should have done that.
Like,
especially because he...
And that would actually make Cassio make a decision between having to catch the wave or attend this fight. So if you just W here, you don't have to be scared. You can actually just walk up and auto attack these minions and just get out. But I feel like you just play this lane way too slow, and this actually ties into something and really understanding the identity of multiple champions. It's like Cassio wants this slow lane. The longer, you know, when you actually teleported bot before and then come back to mid, you know what actually rang alarm bells in my mind was that you had to come back to mid with having gold. You actually got a kill, so you had gold, which gold unspent means nothing. But more importantly, you come back to lane with no corrupting pots. So what does that mean for Cassio? Cassio recognizes that you have no corrupting pots, which means he's always going to win the extended laning phase, which means that you're not going to be able to punish him, which means that you're not going to be able to play for push and move. So already, when you made that play way earlier on down here, you decided to make this teleport play. You have to inherently decide straight away after you make it, understand what was the sacrifice for this. Well, now Cassio, you get this kill, brilliant, But now you're sitting on 500 gold, which is fine. You could have actually before I get into this, you also should never get ruby crystal here. You should always go Doran's ring, not ruby crystal.
Okay.
Because Doran's
I think
ring.
I didn't have the gold. Maybe you could check on X.
No,
Right.
because Doran's ring in your ruby crystal is the same amount of gold.
Ah, okay.
Anyway, so when you go for this play, it's fine. You made the play. That was your decision. But in review, in the moment, you have to know. Holy shit! I've had to use all my 3 corrupting pots. I don't have teleport. Cassio's back mid. Now this is my strongest point where Cassio doesn't have flash. She's an early. She doesn't spike that early anyway. I actually probably just would have reset here, in my opinion. I actually probably would have just straight up reset, copped the loss of these minions, given that's a cannon wave. It's going to take a while anyway. Come back with full resources, another Doran's ring, or even finish your ruby crystal into a kindle gem, then come back, rinse, repeat, and with a pink ward. Now the problem is here, when you come back to lane, you have no corrupting pots. Cassio notices this. That's why he's playing so aggressively and wanting to trade with you, because he knows that you have no corrupting pots. You also don't have any pinks, so you can't set up ganks on this guy with a Cassio that you actually blew flash on before. And notice how this is playing into Cassio's favor. This is favorable for Cassio, not for you. Now, this is actually going to allow Cassio to get more pressure. I'm assuming look at this. He has got a deep ward as well and has a pink ward here, in which you can't clear. Notice how this is just all not favorable for you whatsoever. And this is what I talk about in terms of tempo. It's okay to just sacrifice CS just to come back to think of in the future. Because you got to think about when you're in this situation in the laning phase, now you're stuck. You're in this really shitty situation. And it's okay. You got the kill. You maybe miss a bit of CS, but again, you can make up for it on the back end because you'd be able to push this guy out 1v1. You'd be able to beat this guy 1v1. He only has tier. You'd come back with a Kindle Gem and a pink ward. He'd be so threatened. You have a Lee Sin jungle. It's a completely different story. Now, the longer this little mini game here goes on, where he's able to do whatever he wants, and he's only able to do this because, I mean, obviously Lee Sin's showing, but more importantly, he has vision, and you're so low that he knows that you're scared to all in him. This is just so bad for you. This is not coherent with your identity as a champion. This is just really not what you want to happen. And then, like, I would have noticed this as well. And then, okay, let's just say you didn't take that opportunity. Again, here, you have to notice he has no ult. He has no flash. Just W and do everything I can to reset this lane so you can get back and get back into lane. Also, this was actually another opportunity to reset. Even though it's a bit awkward because they're doing dragon.
I noticed.
But there was another opportunity because it was a cannon wave. But,
I thought when I was looking at it right now, I thought I had based and came back with my ultimate. I actually was gonna ask you if you thought this was viable to do.
I hate doing that, man. I think that's just like it's so hard because then you lose so much all-in threat on the Cassio, in my opinion. Because you know what a huge thing on Echo is in lane?
Dives.
When I'm playing Cassio and I verse an Echo, it's so annoying when Echo just all-ins me, takes a bad trade, but I lose Cassio loses like half my HP or even 3/4 of my HP, but then Echo just ults and gets back so much HP, and then uses Time Warp Tonic, Dark Seal with Corrupting Pots, and gets to full HP, then I'm like, fuck, what do I do? You know? I feel like that's why Corrupting Pot as well, and that's why Ignite is so OP as well. Like, you can create so much chaos in a laning phase with Echo, which you just haven't done whatsoever here. And when you ultimate back, you stay this lane out, you don't play for a tempo, you ulti back in a second. If I'm Cassio, I'm like, well, that's really good. Because then he has way less threat on me. Yes, he gets a tempo base, but like, you know, I mean, it's not the end of the world. I just feel like, yeah. I feel like this really doesn't do anything anyway, because Graves has already showed top, like, they can't really make a play bot. Your 80 carries just come out of base, like, this ult really doesn't do anything in my opinion. The tempo didn't mean anything. Unless maybe you had to, if this would be a different story if the dragon was just coming up and they wanted to make a play, or you wanted to make a dive play or whatever, and you needed to come back with full resources, then yeah, but I think here is a bad opportunity to do that. So yeah, this is what I think is your main problem. What I've seen every single game. It's the lack of a game plan in your early laning phase. It's a lack of understanding of tempo. It's a lack of, like foresight, really understanding how you want to abuse your champion. And this is why when I mentioned at the start of your with runes, does it kind of make sense more with like the runes now why I think it's impacting your game?
Um, I have two questions
Yeah, sure.
I wanted to do. The first one is more about macro. Something that I see frequently happening like pro play. Usually, people have been doing the like around 7:30 or 8 minutes. They rotate to Herald if the dragon is taken, right?
Yep.
And I wanted to know how like if the team that doesn't rotate or that gets behind in tempo in this rotation, what can they do to like respond to that? Like what? Yeah, usually I've seen like they sometimes just leave the AD carry bot taking golden experience, taking the plates, or they like just try to fight even if they're behind. But what do you think?
So you're saying for the team that doesn't have the ability to push out in tempo base for the swap.
Yeah,
So so this is more of like a competitive question.
yes, yeah,
Well, okay, so I feel like that, in my opinion, is a lack of foresight in the beginning. So like, okay, so you should always look to swap, in my opinion. I think if you see, it's very rare that the 80 carry sits bot and gets plates nowadays, because if that happens, then generally you'll find that the top lane is already based and and starting to walk bot anyway. And even if they get two plates, you get Rift Herald, and then it's just screwed. Like you're in such a bad spot. So this is what you have to do. I'm gonna draw it on paint.
okay.
It's just a lot easier for me. Um, what do I do? How do I change this? So okay, let's just say, okay, so you're saying basically, yeah, okay, so basically what you need to do, what the team needs to do, let's just say, I'm gonna draw bot lane. So let's just say this is bot lane, and let's just say, can you see it all good?
Hmm.
Okay, this is the river. All right. So let's just say team one over here is the AD carry and support. This is the AD. This is the sup. And let's just say this is your team over here. This is your team over here. This is your AD carry and sup. And you're saying that if this team has push, this team over here has push, and they can just push and swap, and your team over here, they can't do anything. What's the counterplay? Well, basically what
Yeah,
has to happen is that if your team over here, they either have to do one or two things. They have to know and communicate with their jungler way in advance, or their mid laner way in advance, saying the enemy AD carry and support have push bot, so they're gonna have tempo. So either you hover, so either the jungler comes through mid, because if you're losing bot lane and losing mid lane, there's not really much you can do. Generally, you'll find that either your mid lane or your bot lane has pressure, because in the draft, generally your mid lane, one of them, or your jungler has pressure, one of them. So generally, what you'll have to happen is that in advance, they'll have to communicate with the team. They're telling the jungler and the mid laner that, guys, we get pushed in bot. They have full control over bot wave, which then your jungle and mid lane. So okay, over here, your mid laner and your jungler, they can either hover bot side in advance, just threatening and with pinks in river and things like that to prevent these guys from shoving out, which is then going to allow your bot lane to get a tempo reset. Or maybe you don't even need the mid laner. Maybe you just need the jungle to come and help reset. Um, or you, these guys just take the loss of CS. These guys literally just take the loss of like a group, a wave, and they try and match tempo somewhat. So maybe they lose like 6 creeps, but then they match tempo. So it's one of those two options. Does that make sense?
yeah,
Alright,
I
cool.
understand. Okay, thanks. And the second question was something that like the team that I have here in my city, we also have a coach. Like I
Yep.
don't think he's a professional coach, but and yesterday he did a reunion. I guess that's how he says. Well, but anyway, he told he told us that we needed to play more meta champions because we were playing too much for our comfort zones and just playing whatever we wanted. And I know that usually for solo queue we just like select 3 to 4 champions and just play more around them, play more with them. But now we have to like play 5 champs because it's what is going to be affecting the team in general. It's what is going to be affecting the draft. It's going to be beneficial to everyone. Uh, do you think this will like harm like I guess the speed of the improvement? Like because usually when you have less champions, you can like focus more about
Mm,
understanding the game, right?
yeah.
Like so, do you think like having more champions could harm this like the time that of the improvement? And if yes, then how could I like um make the two things at the same time? What do you think?
Well, you can't. So, so okay. Let's bring it back to when I was a coach, right? And I coached in a gaming house. We had the way we used to actually do sometimes our practice. This is generally how I would actually talk. I'll actually paint it as well. It might be a little bit easier. All right. So let's just say. Wait, let's actually not use this one. What am I doing? How to use PC. All right. So let's just say there's day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, and then day 6 is game day. Generally, what we used to do is at the end, on like day 7, we would review our game, and then we would decide on this day, given the meta and given the opponent we're versing, given this, how the meta is shaping, are there any champions we need to add into our pool? So maybe our mid laner says, because maybe our mid laner at the moment only has like three or four champs that they're really comfortable on. Maybe we tell this mid laner, you know what, Cassio is actually so strong at the moment. We think it's going to be a really meta pick for a long time, given the Cinderhulk buffs, etc. And we have to agree upon as a team, is this champion worth learning? You can't just tell your mid laner, learn Cassio, Azir, Victor, you need this done by next week. No, like you have to already prepare in advance which champion you want to add, because for some people it may take 2 weeks to learn a champion at a level. So, and you do this for every role, right? You probably give them one champion based off the meta that they have to learn. So then what would happen? Day 1, and day 2, and sometimes day 1, day 2, day 3, you would still play the champions that you always play. So those 3 or 4 champs that you're really comfortable with. Then day 4 and day 5, you can experiment maybe with 1 or 2 scrims with trying these new champions that you've practiced if you feel comfortable. Then you decide on a team, are we ready, or are we at the point where do we feel comfortable enough given that player has had 3 days of solo queue to spam this champion, trying it out in day 4, trying out potentially in day 5 if it went well in day 5. If it went well in day 4, to decide if he wants to add it in for a potential draft on game day. Now, sometimes this process may be longer than a week. Maybe this whole first week you never play it at all in scrims. Maybe you only continue to play your 3 or 4 champs. But then in week 2, then these first 2 days, then you play a shit ton of Cassio, like as many scrims as possible, and then so you can make a decision by day 3, day 4, are we going to play it that week as well? So a coach can't just say, guys, you need to play all these different champs. Like, you need to get together as a team, have a discussion about the meta, what's important to learn, and why is it important to learn, as given our team's identity and given the way we want to strategize and given the opponents we're versing, and then you do that. But obviously some players are super talented and they can actually pick up champions in like 3 days. Maybe an 80 carry like spams like 15 games or 20 games in like 2 or 3 days of that champion, and maybe he can get it ready and then, which is fine. You just test it on day 4, day 5. But yeah, you need to have like picks should always be in the grand scheme of like a meta or the way you guys draft as a team. Now, it's important that every team can play at least a few meta champions, but it is also important that your team has an identity. Maybe you're just really unique and you actually play Echo really well, but not many teams play Echo. That's fine. That's a unique pick that you can build a strategy around. You don't always have to play meta, and especially you're on an amateur team. You're not even playing at a pro level, so even at a pro level, niche picks are super important as well. As long as you draft around it and understand what works with Echo, what jungles work well, what pace of the game, what style, and then eventually when you understand all your players and all their niche picks, you can actually start to create a kind of unique identity for your team. They call it in Korea like a team color. When I spoke to some of the Korean coaches, they like the teams have like a team color, and the team color is basically like, what is the color of our team? If red is like a super aggressive team, or like they like to play the game pace extremely fast, or like a yellow, there may be like a whatever objective focus, whatever it is, I don't know. So yeah, you guys need to have that sort of conversation as well. But I think yeah, does it kind of make sense though with the picks?
Yeah, it does.
Cool. Anything
Okay.
else?
Uh, I think that was it. Yeah. Oh, what do you think about Azir in solo queue? Do you think it's worth to keep playing him? Because I know my win rate is not that high with him. Like in in preseason, I've managed to get I guess 56% win rate with him, but it didn't really last much.
Are
So
you talking about Azir?
Azir, because like yeah, like I said too, like he's more of a slow champ. Uh, where in solo queue I guess the games usually are more about like fights are happening all the time, and
Yeah, yeah.
sometimes I can't follow because my champion is just so
Well,
weak early
if
game.
you're interested in competitive, I think Azir is a good champion to have in your pool. But it's not essential. Like, it's not essential. I think Cassio is essential though
Yeah,
for
I was
competitive.
thinking about Casio, LeBlanc, Syndra, this type of
Yeah, they're
champions.
good. They're all really good. I think LeBlanc is really good for both solo queue and competitive, and I think Cassio is good for both, and I think Syndra's really good, important for competitive. I don't think Azir's essential, honestly. Like, it's cool if you want to play it, but if you don't like that champion, I would not force it. There's so many pro players that don't play Azir. As long as you play some mage, whether it's like Orianna, Victor, Azir, as long as you play kind of one of them, but even then, you can probably just play Syndra or Cassio equally. Um, Very similar.
Okay,
Cool.
yeah, I guess that was it.
Um, all right. Well, hopefully this session was helpful. What do you reckon? Do you reckon it help you up your game?
Your your voice lags again.
Oh, sorry. Do you reckon this session was helpful for you?
Yeah, it was for sure.
Cool. Um,
It's gonna be recorded on YouTube, right?
yeah. It'll be uploaded. Like, it'll probably take a while to
Okay,
upload, but it'll be on my channel.
because then I guess I will watch it again.
Brilliant. Cool. All right. I'm gonna
Cool.
hang up now. Thanks Felipe for entering the competition and the giveaway, and hopefully that was helpful. Now what we're gonna do though, I'll stick around for a little bit and asking, and yeah, we'll do a Q&A. People wanted to kind of do a live Q&A, so we can do that. Cool. Thanks, Felipe.
Thank you.
All right, catch up.
See ya.
All right, guys. So I can make my cam bigger here. Well, it's very big now. Might be too big. So yeah, guys, I'll do a Q&A. I can explain anything, league concepts, whatever you guys want to see, whatever you guys want to know. Yeah, I'm Australian. Yeah, I'm an Aussie. Yeah, so if you guys can obviously, watch the VOD after. Hello, guys. January, so handsome. I don't think so. I think my beard's pretty pathetic. Hi, Khaleesi. I've seen you on my Instagram. So in terms of coaching, guys, I am not really. So I'm not really doing coaching as of now because I kind of want to continue to focus on my YouTube, obviously because I need to grow my YouTube more. Well, I'll be honest, like the reason I'm putting a lot of time into my YouTube is because I want to help as many people as possible, and to be honest, like I'm sacrifice like I'm trying to go all in on this, like make it full time. So I know that in terms of if I'm going to be able to do this full time, I need to build my audience a lot more. So I'm trying to really focus on my YouTube. What do I think about Talia mid? I think Talia mid is actually pretty good in solo queue. I think it's one of those champions though that you got to play a lot of and really understand its matchups super well. If you don't understand its matchups and you play autopilot, then you're just gonna get outscaled. You're gonna die to ganks, and you always got to do stuff. You got to be proactive. Play for tempo bases. Take a time warp tonic secondary. And really kind of either play for you're playing for gank setup or you're playing for push and move. How do you recognize which champ would be good in competitive? So basically, I mean, for me, it's kind of I've been doing competitive for so long, so I just know. But basically, champions that have very obvious strengths. It's interesting because champions that have very obvious strengths are very good at competitive, very clear identities, and also champions that basically reliability is very important in competitive. Like that's why champions like Rise is so like will always be decent in competitive because he's so reliable. He has a clear identity. The same as Cassio, but also at the moment specifically within competitive, pressure is extremely important. I was actually talking to some pro players from NA Triple. He was telling me how pressure is probably the biggest thing they look for at the moment with picks. Push like being able to pressure and do something on the map. That's why you don't see champions like traditionally you don't really see champions like Victor too much in competitive play because he gives a lot of pressure. If the enemy just plays like Echo mid, he can just constantly push and move. I'm having a lot of trouble staying consistent with my champ picks due to getting bored of the champions. In turn, I feel like it's having a negative. Yeah, dude, that's such a common issue where people they play so many different champions and then they never can actually improve. So my advice for that one, Ella, my advice for that one is, so the game actually gets more fun the better you are at the game. So like you're probably getting bored because you're not actually you're not actually getting to the point where the game's actually really fun. So when you get to a level, once you get to a certain level of on a champion, you get to like experience the whole game through a completely different frame, a completely different lens. So honestly, I really think that you're not reaching a level of mastery that is fun that is actually getting enjoyable for the game. That's like kind of what I think. I'm from Melbourne. I just hit Platinum 4. Don't know if you remember me from your stream yesterday. Your vids were a big help. Awesome, man. Do I agree? I actually haven't seen LS's champion tier list, but I know he has a very weird champion list. But I can actually, if someone links it, I can comment on it. What I think about Xerath, I think Xerath is always struggle in solo queue purely because he can't really push and move, and he doesn't really exert too much pressure, and he's extremely vulnerable to ganks. But obviously you can climb with any champion. I just think that you got to be super accurate with your skill shots, and he's one of those champions, like, if you're good at skill shots and can win trades, you can probably get away with playing it. But if you're very sloppy with your skill shots, you will struggle. You'll just get out-pressured. The biggest difference between Plat and Diamond mid laners. Okay. I would say the biggest difference between Plat and Diamond is mechanics and actually understanding matchups. So it's interesting. The way I want to expand on this one a little bit. I'm going to get my Picasso going here. So the difference between, so let's just say this is like Plat and then this is like Diamond. Am I got this? Yeah. So the biggest difference in my opinion, so like both of these players, okay, actually I'm going to go back. I want to reframe this. So I think you can play, generally I find a lot of Diamond players, the difference in macro between these two is so similar. Like macro between both of these is very similar. I think the main difference is champion mastery. So champion mastery, the Diamond players have a lot better understanding of their limits and just how to take great trades on their champion. Whereas you find platinum players, they have like the lane fundamentals down, like a lot of the lane fundamentals, but they don't they don't go that extra bit above that. So as you can see with Felipe just before, mechanically he could take really good trades. He did see a lot of windows. He missed a lot of other windows, but majority of the time he won games because mechanically he was a little bit better, and then also he understood. He had a better understanding of the champions he was playing, and I think he had a very good understanding of what sort of he had a better understanding of what sort of things that Echo and Silas wanted. Whereas a platinum player just wins through just straight up just they have solid mid fundamentals. I kind of feel like anyway. I could probably talk about that concept for hours though. How important is tempo and perfect back timings and roaming windows in low elo compared to other mechanics? Okay, so in low elo, I think that mechanics and CSing and trading is way more important. Like I said at the start of this coaching session, guys, I was going over very advanced topics for this guy because he was a Diamond 1 player aspiring to be a pro player or a challenger player. It's a lot more important for me to go over these very small details because that was what was holding him back, and that's the difference between Diamond 1 and Grandmaster and Challenger. It's all the small details. So if you're a gold player, silver player, again, focus on CSing, and if you want proof for that, look at my unranked challenger game where I played like TF and low elo. All I did was just CS and be really farmed, and I can just win every game. Do I think Lucian mid is good? What else we got here? Sorry, there's a lot here. Lucian mid. I do think Lucian mid is good. I think it's better in high elo where the pressure actually means something. In low elo, pressure doesn't really mean as much because junglers don't know what they're doing and they don't know how to capitalize on it. Can you group champion identities to help us understand the win condition of champions even if you haven't made a video of them? I can, but I just don't know how effective that will be. I'm a big advocate of learning the game through the lens of a specific champion. Like, I feel like you would be better at the game if you were 95% or 90% proficient on one champion. That's why like sometimes one tricks can actually they actually can have a really good idea of macro and things like that, and they really understand the champion identity of that one champion. And if you can do that, you learn the game much better. Sometimes I feel like so. I would pick 2 or 3 champions and just know that they really understand those 3 identities really, really well. And then the rest will kind of fall into place. I don't think that it will be that helpful for me to group them all together. I just don't think it's going to, in terms of actual helping you in your solo queue games. Thanks, man, for appreciate it. Bro, can I climb out of silver to diamond with Zoe? I feel, yeah. Like, Zoe is hard for a silver player, not because the champion is bad, but because I think that the champion is extremely high skill cap. I think the champion is very, I would say, skill shot reliant and really understanding your limits. So it is very, very hard. But my YouTube is coaching. That is right, Lucas. I could just upload my coaching sessions on YouTube, but I think that sometimes the concepts are really niche and it's not going to help the broadest amount of people. I mean, I could do that. I could try that. Any take on ASOL? I think ASOL is always good in solo queue. At the moment, I think he's in a bit of a weak spot given the nurse, but I think he's always good in ASOL and he's always good in solo queue. I've been playing a lot of TF, but I feel I can't control the early game and I have a lot of games I lose to Snowball. Do you think he's good for low elo? I think he's okay for low elo. I don't think he's the best. Generally, I find a lot of mechanically simple champions like Talon and Katarina and stuff dominate low elo solo queue because mechanics and stuff is something that people struggle with. So games are winnable on Twisted Fate. It's just it's definitely not the best. Cassio versus Fizz. Cassio versus Fizz is you got to hold the wave on your side, create the room for you to push. Create the room for you to all in. Also, you want to be very careful with your W usage. And also punish the windows where he uses E. If Fizz uses E on the wave, that is your opportunity to go. And also with your W, don't throw your W out crazily. When he E's, if you can time the W with that, or maybe you can sneak an R off as he's going for CS randomly, you can actually chain that with the W and actually potentially kill him. But basically you always want to keep the wave on your side. But not, don't let him build a huge wave, thin it, But yeah, don't let him just push and move, but like try and keep it in that nice little pocket. What's the most important things to take in mind when playing Twisted Fate? Very much focusing on CS and playing the game according to your item spikes and playing for really solid bases. Thoughts on Ari? I don't think Ari's good in the meta right now because it's too tanky. The meta's too tanky. She doesn't do well against tanks. What do I think about Shen in solo queue? Is he good in this current meta, and what champs are good in this meta? I think Shen... It's hard to say. I don't think he has many good matchups at the moment because you always see champions like Set, Darius, Mordekaiser. Like, those champions just all destroy Shen, in my opinion. So I don't think he's that good in solo queue for top lane anyway. Also, your play-by-plays is why I sub to your channel. If you can make more of them with the lines... Oh, so play-by-play. What do you mean by play-by-plays? Is that like commentating on my own games? How do I not get fatigued after playing 2 games? Yeah, dude. Sometimes that is the way... I get that too, where I feel so tired after 1 or 2 games. Like, I actually had a game on stream yesterday where I had to, like, 1v5, and it felt so hard. I was so tired after 1 game. I honestly think taking breaks in between games... So sometimes what I actually used to do is I used to play a game, and then in my queue, I would go outside and do a few skips, get the blood pumping, refresh, move away from my computer, then come back with a refreshed mindset, ready to go. What do you do when you ward the enemy raptors, for example, and the jungler removes it with scanner? Then you just have to accept. You have to adapt to the situation. You just have to play accordingly. You have to understand that. Yeah, you have to play with trigger time, and there's really not much you can do. That's just well played to the jungler, honestly. That's why good junglers are very focused on vision. Where did you learn all your terms like so champion identity? I literally created that. I literally made that up. I was thinking, because I've been coaching for so long, I've been obsessed about how do I teach and get concepts across to people. I literally just came up with it. I thought it was a really cool... The way I actually created champion identity was I was really figuring out more about myself as a person and really thinking about people's identity. I'm like, that extends to League of Legends as well. So I just created champion identity. Hey coach, been watching for a couple of weeks now. Just made the move from top to mid. I suffer from playing in a too large champ pool. Trying to focus on fundamentals improve, but I get bored. You need to... Okay, Levi. You need to pick 2 or 3 champions that you love the most. And just... You need to all in on them. And make sure you love them. Don't pick champions that people tell you are good. Play the champs you love. Because you're going to be more inclined to play more of those champions and learn the fundamentals through them because you'll enjoy playing. Pyke mid, what do I think? I think Pyke mid can be good as a niche pick. Again, it's a very unique champion, unique style. I think it's a lot better in higher elo than it is lower elo, though. I remember when Faker played Zed in competitive, yeah. What do I think about Zoe? I think Zoe is a very good champion in higher elo because his early game pressure and kill threat and gank setup with bubble is really, really good, but in lower elo can be difficult. Is it okay to ask certain small questions to you on Discord sometime? Yeah, for sure. I reply to everyone on whether it's a comments or Discord. If you have personal questions, anything you want specifics, you can just DM me or message me on the Discord. Thoughts on Zoe about solo queue? Yeah, like I said, I think in higher elo, Zoe is quite good, a very solid pick. In lower elo, it can be hard because games tend to get dragged out as well. And Zoe sometimes doesn't do well when games get really late because everyone's so tanky and you can't really... And since Zoe can't go into the side lane, it's very difficult. Is there ever any reason to take Ravenous Hunter and Taste of Blood over Perfect Time Biscuits on Diana? I just don't like that. I mean, on Diana, again, I just prefer... Actually, I don't like Perfect Timing Biscuits anymore. Perfect Timing seems super underwhelming. I actually just go... I would go Biscuits, Magical Forward. Actually, secondary on Diana, I've been experimenting with Second Wind and... what's the other one called? Shield Bash or something like that. One of those. You can message me more on Discord about that. I've been experimenting with Resolve Secondary on Diana, but Inspiration Secondary is still okay, but I need to think more about that given the Perfect Timing nerfs. I've answered the Shen one. What am I doing here? What would you say is a good amount of champions to be able to play? Like, what size champion pool do you think is ideal to learn and get better? I think lower elo, like, you should only be playing, like, 2 or 3 champions, I feel like. But the higher you get, maybe maximum 4 around, like 3 or 4 around plat diamond. And then, but if you want to get to challenge, you need to have like at least like, in my opinion, like to be really effective, like 4, 5, maybe 4 or 5. But I think in lower elo, like 2 or 3 is completely fine. Wait, did you say you don't like playing a champion? No, I'm saying you need to play champions that you want to. You have more fun playing champions you've mastered. And that's how you learn the game. Because once you get closer to mastery on a champion, you can actually start thinking about macro game and things like that. Someone recommending Ignite on Oriana in Bronze 2. I keep forgetting I have it since I used to run Teleport. What's your take? I hate Ignite on Oriana. I think it's trash because, well, firstly, you're never going to be really in range to use it. Again, you're probably not going to be trading. That means you're going to be heavy trading in the early game, which is really not good for Oriana anyway. I would way prefer to play for control, play for tempo, play for solid bases, take teleport. I've had several coaches before, however, they tell me to drop specific champs for easier champs. Do you believe in this? I find it pointless as there is no... Yeah, you have to play champs you love. At the end of the day, like when push comes to shove, I can't tell you. Yes, I can tell you to play Malzahar, but if you want to shoot your brains out playing Malzahar, then you're not going to learn anyway. You got to play champs you love. I always say that. Oh my god, I'm trying to get through these. What do we got here? What do you think about climbing with a Nivea? Greetings from Chile. That's awesome, man. Thanks for tuning in, Big Spaghettio. I think Nivea is very niche. I don't think it's a blind pick champion. I think it can be really good if you're versing like a low engaged team, a team with not much engage. I think it's all right. But very, very niche. I'm not a big fan of it. Yeah, with Oriana, you can even take heal. I would rather heal over Ignite, in my opinion, if you don't like teleport. I agree. What do you do when your bot lane comes mid as Zoe? It's so bad. Like, so basically, in that situation, if your bot lane loses and the enemy bot lane goes mid, and then you're stuck mid as Zoe against a bot lane, what you need to do is you need to try and catch a wave bot lane onto a side lane, and then group mid and try and force objectives and fight around objectives, group up, look for picks with your bubble. You can't sit in the side lane, otherwise you're just going to lose. Yeah, a lot of people here would ask about Zoe. I still think Zoe is one of those champions, is like, you really gotta... The reason I like playing it fast and aggressive is because if you play Zoe slow, and then you get forced into the side lane eventually, then you're so screwed, because Zoe is really bad in the side lane. You're vulnerable, you don't really have that good wave clear, you're going to be isolated, it's going to be tough. Like, generally, Zoe wants to be playing around objectives, get to the objective early, poke with bubbles, poke with Qs. That's basically the way you want to be playing it. So, as Zoe, I try to push the pace of the game and play the game around me, not be a victim or play reactive to what else is going on in the game, basically. You still staying? What do you mean? I'm still here. I've seen all your unranked challenges. Cool. My OPGG, just linked there. That's a Coach Curtis account. How do you carry your lead with Aurelia mid? So I'm actually going to be doing a video on Aurelia mid very soon. I think it's going to be one of my next videos. Thoughts on Oriana mid? You're Iron 3. Well, Oriana, at that level, Iron 3, you can play anything. Again, at Iron level, I would again be playing champions you love and be leaning towards champions that are mechanically simple. But Oriana can work in all elos, to be honest. And she's one of those champions that you can actually play into pretty much any matchup. She can always find a way to minimize. Oriana is... So basically, if you're Iron 3, I would probably play a champion that's a little bit more simple than Oriana. But if you love it, just continue to grind it and yeah, just keep at it, man. If you're Iron, you've got to play a lot more games. I play Oriana. What is a champ similar to her? Good to climb with. You may enjoy Victor. You may enjoy Cassio. There were champs I also used to like when I played Ori. Rise is a bit tricky at the moment because there's so much threat. I actually feel Rise is really hard to play at the moment in the game, but TF is still good. I answered that thing about Pyke mid. A side playlist about... I probably will do another form of content series eventually around support, because support is something I do understand quite a lot. How do you win mid Pyke versus Silas? Actually a really hard matchup for Pyke, but basically, I mean, Pyke doesn't really win lane. You always got to play for push and move, basically, or tempo bases and move. But I need to talk. Pyke mid's a whole different story. I have to do a whole video on that. What mid laners are good against tanks? Cassio is very good against tanks. That's why I like Cassio in this meta. I actually like Victor as well, to be honest. I actually like Ori. What is the best champ to climb and with? Can't you make a? The best champs to climb, again, it really depends on what you love and what elo you're in. It very much depends. Can't you make a full guide on step-by-step how to practice and climb? I mean, I'm trying to do as many champions as possible. There is no one champ that is the best to climb. There's a lot of different champions that are really good. But that's why I want to start doing more champions like that are better in solo queue, like Aurelia. I want to try and do an Aurelia guide and an Echo mid guide as well. Zoe versus Vlad. People say Abuse is Q CD, but realistically Zoe's Q is the same CD. So the thing with Zoe versus Vlad is you can actually push the tempo of the lane really well. What you should do is you should actually get Vlad to push you in. Actually, there's two ways of playing it. You play super aggressive and like force Vlad to use Qs on the wave while you Q Vlad. Or, my personal favorite, let Vlad push you in, and then around level 3, you can actually just straight up chase Vlad down with Ignite. So you run at Vlad, you Ignite, he's going to pull, or maybe he, or if he doesn't pull, you throw your E to get the pull out, and then you keep chasing, auto attack QQQ, he's going to be super, super low, then you push out, play for a tempo reset, come back, with a Darksteel, again, push the pace of the game and constantly make it really, really hard for Vlad to play the game slow. The champion identity ideas help me more than anything else. That's awesome. How do I form my intuition into knowing what I'm doing? That probably takes more games, man. Like, intuition comes with a lot of games and champion mastery. Playing the very similar, a small champion pool. How should I go about winning more games with Akali? Yeah, Akali's so weak at the moment, especially mid. I think it's more of a top champion at the moment. But if you do want to win more games as Akali, what I would really recommend is, like, you have to very much be... I actually view Akali very much as, like, her whole pre-6 is like a mini-game. The mini-game for Akali is I need to get as much farm as possible, get to my level 6, and then after you get to level 6 and you maybe get your revolver or whatever, then the next mini-game starts where you got to somehow minimize to get to your Gunblade. Your whole game, or your whole identity revolves around getting Gunblade. So if you can somehow get to Gunblade by minimizing really well, tethering really well, having solid bases, then you might be able to have a good game. But if you die pre-Gunblade, then you're going to have a bad time. Which are the most versatile mid lane champs? I would say champions like Orianna's pretty versatile. I would honestly say champions like Echo mid can be quite versatile because they can, and Zoe, all these champions that can like push and move and do and play lanes very creatively are quite versatile. Even Silas is quite versatile. Do you think Silas is an insanely strong champion when mastered to carry in high elo? I do think Silas is a good champion in a high elo, but again, you can't blind pick it. I actually blind picked I had to blind pick Silas yesterday in solo queue, got countered with a Lucian mid, and I got fucked. Sorry, excuse the language. Who's your top 3 champs to carry from Silver? Again, if I'm Silver, you need to be playing champs you love, but I've got a tier list in my Discord, but, you know, if I could quickly look at the tier list that I have in Discord at the moment, I had Diana being up there, Talon is really good, Katarina's really good, Echo mid's really good, champs like that. What do we got here? I was trying to climb to Master, but I got stuck in D2, and honestly, most of the games, it felt like I'm in control in the early, but I cannot finish the game with the enemy. Honestly, Alejandro, you should watch over my coaching stream that I did just then. It might really help you, because that was a D1 laner as well. I've been blind picking Maud mid because it's not easily counted. Any other versatile blind picks? It's really hard to blind pick mid, honestly. If you want to blind pick mid, you need to see what else is played on your team. So you might see that you're versing, you've got like a Elise jungle or a Jarvan jungle. In that case, you can like blind pick things like Zoe, knowing that you can probably create conditions to set up a gank. Or maybe you've got maybe you see the enemy have a Graves jungle, and maybe you can. That means you can just basically play a mage and probably get away with it because Graves has really low gank threat. You can't just. You need to be thinking about all the other factors of the game, not just like your 1v1. You need to be thinking about your jungler and the enemy jungler. That can help you blind pick champions. What can you do if you get camped? Well, you're probably getting camped because you're playing the lane wrong. You're either not manipulating the wave well, you're heavy trading when your jungler's doing other things, you're not warding efficiently, you're overstaying in the lane. You're obviously doing something to get attracted. So, for that attention to be there in the first place. So you got to adapt to the situation, and obviously you're not assessing threat enough. Yeah, Heimerdinger is a really big counter to Kiana. 1v1, you get screwed. You need to basically play with your jungler 2v2s and try and use pings to communicate to kill the Heimerdinger, and stay healthy enough for when the jungler does come, then you can set up a kill. But if you take poke so much that when your jungler does come, you can't even go in, then you're going to be completely screwed. What do I think about Talon? I think Talon's actually a really good champion. I think he can climb to nearly every single elo. There's like an EU challenger player who gets like super high elo with Talon, so I think it's a really good champ. Zoe runes. So Zoe, you can go airy in some matchups that you just want to play for Q poke, but if you want to play for more all-in and more aggressive trades, maybe versus a very low-range champion, you can go electrocute. And again, I always love Inspiration Secondary with Time Warp Tonic and DMAT, or Time Warp Tonic and Biscuits. That's my personal favorite because I like playing the game very fast when I play Zoe. What do you do if you're playing mid and your team is losing every lane and you keep getting ganked by 3 people? Then that's not what we should be focusing your attention on. You should always just be focusing your attention on what could you have done better. You are going to get those games where you're just going to be unwinnable. You're going to get those games where you're going to have losing sides. You got to do what you can. I actually had one of those games on stream yesterday with Oriana, but I just played, took fights, only coherent with my identity, sat patient, and didn't compensate for any of my teammates. Is Syndra reliable? Syndra is reliable, but again, Syndra is not really good until high elo because junglers don't really use your pressure. So if you're high elo, then it's fine. If you're low elo, then it's not the case. In terms of reliable picks, you're a one-trick Vlad. I would probably put in something there that can push and move. Maybe, I would say Oriana's quite reliable. Cassio's actually quite reliable at the moment. But yeah, give Syndra a go and see if it feels right for you. Some people personally don't like Syndra, but have a go. I will do another mid fundamentals video. I'm just trying to think about which one I want to cover. I was thinking jungle tracking, but I just got to think about how I'm going to do that video. Have you ever considered doing a common matchups video for any? Yeah, I'm actually working on a Yasuo video because people always ask me how do I counter Yasuo, so I'm thinking on a Yasuo one. Can you give tips for playing Cassio against Akali? Because that's like, dude, Cassio shits on Akali. What you're probably doing wrong there, you're either getting hit by E. You should never get hit by Akali's E. Or you're... And also, the tip to versing Akali, if Akali uses Q on the wave, her energy is going to be depleted, so that's your opportunity to go. And then if she uses Q and Shroud, and after her Shroud's down, she's just basically a sitting duck. So as long as you play around her energy and her Shroud cooldown and don't get hit by E, you're going to dominate that lane matchup. And especially after you get tier, when you have enough mana to all in. And especially when you keep the wave on your side, it's just, she's so screwed. Yeah, Talon, I said that about Talon. Kiana in Silver and Gold. I think Kiana's not as good in Silver and Gold. I think it's quite hard, but it's still winnable. Again, it's just a hard champion for those people to learn because her laning phase is so hard for most people. I spam TF at the moment and I'm looking for a second complementary champ. Can you give me thought process and draft when not to pick TF and which champ would be a good replacement? Basically, the main thing you need to look for with Twisted Fate, I look for... If I have a lot of CC on my team already, I have like an Ashe or a Morgana or a like a Thresh, any of these champions with like hard CC, I don't like playing TF because it makes the enemy be able to build QSSs or take cleanses, makes it really, really valuable. So I don't like doing that. So generally I'd look for CC. If there's a lack of CC on my team, it looks good. And then also I look for immobility and lack of self-peel on the enemy team. If I see Zyra Khan, I hate picking TF. If I see Olaf, I don't like playing TF. If I see like a Morgana, I don't like playing TF. If I see things like that can avoid, or like Fiora, I don't like playing TF, or tanks, I don't even like playing TF because it means the lane won't be heavy trading enough where I can actually capitalize on it. So basically you want to be looking for a lack of self-peel and a lack of CC on your team. Are there any champs you would generally advise to not play? Not really. I think any champ's viable as long as you don't all in, you don't just play one champion. Hey, Curtis, what is this one? Oh my god, I scrolled past it. Hi, Curtis. You recommended Casio to me after I said I enjoy Victor a lot yesterday. Any tips on what her laning is like compared to Victor's? So, you should check out my Casio video. Check out my Casio video. I've actually got 2 videos on Casio you should check out. That'll help you out. Thanks for the sub, man. I know you dislike one-tricking, but do you think Aurelia or Kled are good champs to main and master to climb with in a high elo? I think that those champions... I think Aurelia mid is actually quite good at the moment. I'm going to do a video on it, especially in high elo, because it's a lot of kill threats, a lot of pressure, a lot of gank setup. Kled as well. It's a bit of a niche pick. It can't be blind picked, but it can be good in higher elo as well because people will utilize your pressure. But again, not to one trick. I watched your Silas guide after giving up on him, and now he is one of my preferred champs. Awesome. I love that. LeBlanc, maybe in the future. It'll take me a lot of time to do that one because LeBlanc's a bit of a tricky champ. Which mid laners can you just blind pick? Well, the only one that I definitely know of, I think Echo can be blind picked, and I think Syndra can be blind picked. In order to climb, you should build a champion pool to stick to, right? How would you build it? Like 2 or 3 champs you main for the role, but yeah, so I just pick 2 or 3 champs that you'd love. You really, really love, and just all in on it. And for your secondary, I have just one champion I love to play on secondary. So say for example you queue mid support. On your off roll, you should have one go-to champion that you know you're gonna pick. So for me, like I just always pick like either I pick Nautilus or whatever if I get support. Because it's just a really super reliable champion. Kiana. Yeah, Kiana, and I said that Kiana in Silver and Gold is really not reliable. I think he's very much a 2v2 mid-jungle champion, and in low elo games get extended. Junglers don't really capitalize too well. He's not really that independent, so he can be quite tricky. The low elo good champs just seem to thrive with the idea of just fighting a lot. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that's the thing. Like champions that are good in low elo, sometimes they aren't good at learning fundamentals. Like that's why I say Katarina's good in low elo, but you do actually struggle to learn mid fundamentals with her. That's why you shouldn't always rely on it. Do you think mid lane champs that are good at side lane can go 1v9 more easily than others? Yes, I do. I do think champions that can side lane are more 1v9. That's why I think like champions like Cassio and Ryze, if they do get to that mid game point, they can 1v9. Should you always be looking to push in Roma's Talia mid? No, not always. It really depends on your jungler. It depends on the kill threat in the side lanes. It depends on the amount of mobility of the enemy mid laner. It always depends on all these things actually. So you really got to think about all those things because Talia actually can set up a lot of kills on mid as well. Where do I stream? I don't have a proper streaming schedule. I stream sometimes on Twitch though. Can you give some tips for Casio? I've already said that. Hi to Uruguay. That's sick. All the way from, hi from Australia. I'm from Australia, so a long way away. What should I ban if I'm playing Victor? I hate versing Diana and Yasuo. Mainly Yasuo, though. Aurelia might be a lot stronger. Obviously, there was the Bork changes. But I think that Aurelia just struggles versus those champs like Mordekaiser and Set. So it would just depend. Just wondering if you had any tips with mages against Yasuo. Oh, we're doing a video very soon on how to verse Yasuo, so you have to stay tuned for that one. What should I do to relearn a champion? Basically played a lot of old ASOL. Okay, so the thing with relearning a champion, it took me a while with Silas. When I did my Silas video, it took me so long because I was constantly, I was always thinking about the old Silas, how his passive worked and how much wave clear he had, and I had to relearn it. So basically what I did is I just went on another account, started from scratch. I inted a lot. I tried to like just, you will int. So that's why I say do it on another account or in normal games or something. You need to just through sheer amount of games, basically. Do you think playing solo queue is different from playing with a group of 5? 100%. Very, very different. It's extremely important, even if you want to be a competitive player or get better at Clash or whatever. Playing solo queue is extremely important. My pool right now is Cassio, Syndra, and Swain. I think that's plenty of champions, man. More than 3 is a lot of champions. I would stick to that for now, man. It's a lot. More like, because I'm sure that's a lot of champions to master right now. Like, if you all in on mastering those 3 champs, you're gonna be a lot better off. When I play, it's all about intuition. I really can't seem to get me understand why and what I should do better. Any tips to learn and get thinking about what I'm doing? There is League of Legends. There is a lot of it's a very intuition based game, and that's why you got to make things muscle memory. So my advice, Fabian, is break down a skill first that you feel like you're lacking, whether it's CSing, side lane awareness, wave management, jungle tracking, any of these, whatever it is. Focus on one until that aspect of the game becomes muscle memory. And then what happens over time is that will be inbuilt in your intuition. You won't have to think about that. That will just be your level of play. But if you try to improve on all these things and make them all part of your intuition at once, you're not going to be able to do it that way. It's going to be really hard for you to do it that way. Any chance you can make an Echo guide soon? Yes, that is coming up. I'm doing an Aurelia mid and then probably an Echo mid. What do I think about Fizz and high elo? I think Fizz is fine in high elo. There's always high elo Fizz players on every server. Yeah, man. Cassio versus Syndra is not good. It's actually one of the hardest matchups in the game, I think. I don't think there's really much you can do. It's all about minimizing, CSing on the tower. What you can do, my only advice is, if your jungler is in the area and you're 6, you can look to do a fancy R-flash, catch Syndra off guard into a W, into a miasma, into a gank, and that can maybe help you snowball, but it is very, very hard. And also, I sometimes recommend sitting on a null magic mantle just to allow you to survive that burst. Hey Curtis, I'm playing Syndra and Orianna mainly right now, and a bit of Ahri and Victor. That is a massive champion pool. I would even remove one of them if possible. 4 champs is a lot. I would probably cull that back to 3. Do I think that Lux is a viable mid pick? Yes, I do. It's harder in higher elo, but it is still a good mid pick. I think it's a decent mid pick in low elo for sure. I feel like I can't win games with Lux at the moment, but maybe it's just me. Lux is one of those champions though. It's great for learning mid fundamentals at a low elo. Maybe Khaleesi, you've obviously watched my unranked challenger with Lux. The thing with Lux is that you got to be patient and play for those. That once it gets like 15 minutes onwards, and for those big team fights, you need to be really focusing on your Q usage and your E usage, and your skill shot accuracy in general. A bad habit I see people when they play Lux is that they just, without even thought, just throw out abilities. And what happens is that they get in this really like bad habit where they're not optimizing the usage of their skill shots. So sometimes what I actually recommend is actually in a review, actually spend 5 or 10 minutes just looking at all your skill shots and be like, why did I throw it like that? Why did I do that? That makes no sense. Like, and because sometimes hitting a bind is the difference between winning or losing a lane or winning and losing a team fight. I only play OP champions, mostly Ahri and Lux. I'm looking for an AD champ to add to my pool. What AD champ would you recommend for Plat? Again, it's not absolutely essential for Platinum. Again, I think until you get to like Diamond, AD champions aren't absolutely essential. But if you really do want to add an AD champion, you play Ahri and Lux. What would I recommend? I mean, let me actually look at the champion list right now. I'm on the Brazilian server, so I can't read anything. So I just got to navigate my way to. If I can navigate my way to the champions. Champion. So, okay, no, not Kiana. I'm actually going to be doing a video with Aurelia mid, which it's a bit of a mechanically hard champion, but it still is. Honestly, Jace mid is hard, but I like it. Talon, very simple AD mid champion. Nocturne mid might be for you, honestly. Nocturne mid might be because Nocturne mid isn't a mechanically hard champion. Nocturne mid just really you just need to understand your limits. Once you understand your limits, it can be a really easy to execute champion. So maybe Nocturne mid. I actually have a few videos on Nocturne mid, 1 or 2 videos, it might actually help you. But again, I would not force it if you don't feel comfortable with playing those style of champions, because it is a very different identity. If you like, that's the thing with AD mids. It's not just, you got to actually change your whole mindset, basically. So, but if you really want to start off, I do recommend that. Or you could even play something like Lucian mid. It's a very simple AD mid champion. Or you can just wait till I do my Aurelia mid video and see if that's for you. But yeah, they're basically what kind of pops to mind anyway. Is Aurelion Sol a good main to climb in every elo? I think it is. I think Aurelion Sol is a very solid champion, basically any elo. Yeah. What do we got here? Thank you for the stream, coach. You're doing great work, and I think you have a large audience in a couple of months. Thank you, man. Zed or Talon for an AD mid pick? Talon. Definitely Talon's better. Is LeBlanc viable to climb to high diamond? Yes, 100%. LeBlanc is very good in diamond. If you don't snowball, that means if you just don't feel like you're snowballing enough, it means you either don't have the correct lane, either don't have good side lane awareness, or you're not using your pinks and community and holding your wave in the correct spot to set up ganks. You're either not adapting to the situation well enough. Final question for me. I duo with a friend a lot who is jungle. Any recommendations to carry games as mid-jungle duo? You need to have come in with a game plan, and your champions need to synergize. You can't just randomly pick like Kayn, Orianna and expect to win. You should have a conversation with him about, all right, so what champions do you want to play, mate? And then you start from here. Okay, given that this is both your champion pools, think about some of the things that make sense together. So if he's playing an aggressive jungle champion that wants to gank, then you should be playing a champion that can set up ganks, can hold the wave in the correct spot, and or has CC to set it up. Conversely, if he wants to invade the enemy jungle and play for camps, then maybe you can play something that gets priority 1v1 and can back him up and play those 2v2 skirmishes. Or maybe he wants to scale and he doesn't want to sit mid and doesn't want to gank mid, in which you need to play something that's a lot more self-sufficient and a lot more, facilitating, maybe being more of a facilitator. So you need to have that conversation. Because it's all about carrying. When you're playing mid-jungle, you need to take responsibility for the game in that duo. Worst Lissandra matchup? There is one really bad one. I believe it's... What is it? There's one really bad one I remember. I used to play Lissandra mid. It was a shocking one. Maybe it's Syndra? Or Victor? Or Azir? I think it's Azir. But if Azir takes cleanse. Something like that. Something really bad like that. Something pokey. Do I like hybrid ADTF? I don't. The reason, because I think it's a lot more unreliable. That's just my personal preference. And it's just doesn't have as many good matchups. How do you carry a feeding lane when you are leading in mid lane with champs like Syndra or Mouse with low mobility? You either need to get deep vision and try and get vision on the enemy jungler, so you can either make picks on the enemy jungler make picks on the enemy jungler in their jungle, or you can tee up with your jungler to take objectives, or you can look for dives with your jungler. You need to do things with your jungler to either set up ganks, set up roams. You can't just view yourself in an isolated 1v1, otherwise you're not going to be able to carry. When to pick Jace mid? Jace mid is very good with aggressive AP junglers like Elise. It's actually really good with like Karthus and Eve as well, because the damage spread is absolutely insane. Basically, anything that wants to gank mid is really good with Jace. Best mid laner in low elo. I've got a tier list, but looking at my tier list right now, I think Talon's really good. Diana's really good. Echo mid's pretty solid. Malzahar, Katarina, those sorts of champions. How do I play Ori into Syndra? I actually have a video on my channel about Ori into Syndra in depth. But off the top of my head though, I've actually kind of changed my strategy a little bit with Ori into Syndra. I actually, if you go to my Twitch, twitch.tv/Coach Curtis, I have a VOD yesterday on my stream where I play Ori vs Syndra live and I talk a bit about it. You should watch that video. What do I think about the TF buffs? I think it's really nice. I think TF's going to be played a lot, and I think it's going to help his burst in mid-game a lot. I've had a lot of success with Poppy mid. Do you think it's just good or just no? I actually think Poppy as a champion, though, overall is really strong. I don't know about mid, but jungle and top, I think it's really strong because the meta has a lot of dashes in it at the moment. I think maybe it's just the meta being a really good for Poppy, and maybe the opponents being bad, but I think Poppy is a bit of a sleeper OP pick in terms of top jungle. who's my favorite three mid laners? My favorite three mid laners. Let me look at the champs at the moment. I love Orianna. I love Victor. I love Cassio. What else do I love? I love TF. Yeah, they're probably all my favorites. Is Ori worth maining? I guess. Yeah. If you love it, it really depends. If you love the champion, then yeah, for sure. Ori is one of those champs that's super, super. I guess flexible and can play so many different lanes by changing your build path and by changing your rune setup and your summoner spell choice. Whew. All right, that was a lot of questions. I think I need to take a break. Hopefully, I answered most of the questions that you guys wanted, and yeah, I'll take one last question. Last one here. Alright, I'll do these last two. This is it. Is Zilean a good mid lane pick? I think Zilean mid lane is actually quite an annoying niche pick that is actually not bad if you're very good with skill shots and you are patient enough to give your pressure in the early game and scale into mid game. Although a lot of games will feel like they're out of your control because if your AD carry loses, your bot lane gets behind, it will be very difficult for you. But I think it's a good niche pick. What's the best backport timing for Twisted Fate? I've got that in my TF guides, but I love basing around 1100 gold because Catalyst feels so nice on Twisted Fate. I might as well answer these questions. Is Victor even playable versus Assassins? Yes, it is. It's actually not even that bad against Assassins because you have a range advantage and you can use your mobility with your Q and your outrange people just to play 100 to 0 trades without actually putting yourself in a vulnerable position, as long as you have good wave manipulation. I'm actually doing a video soon versus Yasuo where the first VOD, I'm actually going to go over 2 VODs. I've only got 1 VOD so far, but the first one I've got is a Victor versus Yasuo where I play Victor versus Yasuo and really explain how to do that. Is top lane bad in S10? It's a bit tricky at the moment, but with all the buffs, I think top lane is still fine in solo queue, honestly. Thank you, by the way. I'll go over some of your videos. Appreciate it. Do I like Vegemite? I don't mind it. It's pretty intense. Like, it's pretty salty. But I don't really have it often, no. But I don't mind it. Like, it's okay. On toast, but I don't really like it on bread. It's alright on toast. Jin mid. Nah. Jin mid, nah. I don't know. I don't know about that one. Is Anivia decent? Anivia is only good if you're versing a lot of champions that have a lack of engage. Why does my room seem like a mess? It's actually not even that messy, man. I don't know. It's just because I got just stuff. That's just they're all the stuff that's on there. It's on a hook. It's all on hooks. It's all good. Because right now I'm actually on a standing desk. So yeah. What's it called? I think I'm gonna round it up there. Thank you guys for tuning in. No problem. Do I have any hobbies? I collect records. Yeah, I like records. I collect records. That's one of my favorite hobbies. I love music. I love film. I love Quentin Tarantino. Alright guys, I'm going to end it there. I'm going to have some lunch and get a drink of water because I'm extremely thirsty right now. So yeah, watch over. If you guys want to missed it, then the VOD will be up and you guys can still tune into the VOD. Alright, so thanks for watching guys, and if you have any extra questions, just feel free to leave them in the Discord. Alright, cheers guys. Thanks for watching.